is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welton Ra has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Ra, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Ra can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Ra can help. Call 954-966-4646.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business, car key replacements, and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
There we are. You know what? Now that I got my little Super Bowl hat on when I covered the Super Bowl back in Indianapolis. This is in honor of Jeff Saturday winning against the Raiders. No, it's actually, I'm just in that Super Bowl feeling. And I said, do I have a Super Bowl hat? And I remember covering the Indianapolis Super Bowl. And I said, I bought a hat because I usually buy hats for a lot of the events that I cover. So I remember buying, and that was a great Super Bowl week because that whole week it was like 50 degrees in Indianapolis. 50 degrees in Indianapolis in early February is crazy shit. And so I said, I got this Super Bowl feeling with the Miami Dolphins. And I said, let me wear something that's apropos. And by the way, this thing's already 10 years old. I just took off all the stickers from it and everything. This is the first time I wear this hat. I've never worn this hat. I've got hats that are stashed there that I've never worn in my life. This is the first time I have ever worn this hat after I bought it in the Super Bowl that week. So I figured, I'm in that Super Bowl feeling. I feel like you have a Super Bowl quarterback, that kind of stuff. So I hope those of you in the Dolphin Nation are in that Super Bowl feeling with me here and feeling good because I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. The Dolphins are in first place. They're 7-3. An ass-kicking 39-17 win. So it was nice, man. It was nice. Tua put together another MVP-like performance, and I got to tell you, I'm proud of you fans out there in the stadium. You're chanting MVP, MVP. And I let's talk about this. This is the amazing part of this whole turnaround. You had so many of those people probably chanting MVP going, is he really our quarterback next year? Is he the guy or whatever? That kind of, everybody was, a bunch of people were questioning him last year and the year before. So to watch the turnaround and how he is now being embraced, I think it's the coolest thing in the world. because now it's one, he's a great person, and he's the kind of guy that you want representing your organization. You know, the kid's a winner, man. The only thing that's ever been a knock on him is the injury history. And we've kind of nailed down his real problem with his injuries, actually. Right? Saban started it years ago when he said, kid needs to get rid of the football. And he's kind of started to do that now in the last couple of weeks. So yesterday he didn't need it because he was so clean, as he was saying in the press conference, that when he took off his pads, and Nolan, the media relations, said, "Wow, you're clean," and that's because the offensive line kept him just absolutely impeccable, kind of like a can of Edge energy drink, impeccable. By the way, wait till you grab that can and you feel the grooves in the can. It's actually really cool. But anyway, so it's awesome to see the turnaround. It's just awesome to see how he is being embraced by the fan base. Eventually, the idiots that were all wrong are going to either admit or whatever. If they want to keep moving the bar, go ahead. I don't care, dude. I don't care. I all I care about is that you, the Dolphin Nation, you finally have this is the team we've been waiting for decades. Decades we've been waiting for this team, because the last 2 decades have been just absolutely brutal, unacceptable, and depressing, to be quite honest. Let's see. What do we got here? Yes. Okay. All right. I'm doing multitasking, by the way. We're going to get Alan Pupart on at 11 instead of 11:30. So he'll join us. We'll have Ira Winderman at 10:30. Normally, Pupart will be at 11:30, but today he needs to go a little earlier. He just sent me a text. So he can come on at 11. You know, we're going to ask him again, right? This will be the opening question of his segment. So you still sticking with that shit about, Teddy Bridgewater, and you're not going to miss a beat and all that? I'm going to keep hammering him with this every week until he changes his effing tune, because there's no way anybody in there, and he's a really smart football guy, there's no way he could keep thinking that. No way. There's no freaking way he can keep thinking that there's no drop-off between him and Teddy. But we'll ask him again today if he actually expects no drop-off again, because it's just asinine to even think that. Ohio John, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, Victory Monday, Fins in first. When it comes to football, the punter is the only guy that doesn't have to be ashamed of not seeing the field. Yep, and he can sleep. Moozy, thank you for the love on the super chat. In our last 27 possessions, 14 touchdowns, 3 field goals, 3 turnovers on downs, 2 punts, 1 missed field goal, 1 punt block for a touchdown, and 3 victory formations at the end. Fins up. It's pretty productive. I got to tell you. That is pretty freaking awesome to get 14 touchdowns in 27 possessions. That's outstanding football. That's the only way to describe it. Let's see, did I pass up any other ones? Nope. Nick Pleggy. Oh, as amazing as it is to win again, the fact that Buffalo Sports Radio is in full meltdown mode today is just sweet. Glorious time to be alive. I love it. They should be worried. They should be worried about the Dolphins. That's what they need to be worried about. They need to be worried about the Dolphins. Dolphins are coming, baby. They're coming. They're humming. I love it. But it's just so good to see the change and how Tua is being embraced and supported. And then you're getting the results. That's the beauty of it. You finally gave him a team, and he'll take care of the rest. As I've said many, many times, you fix everything else around him, he'll be fine. He is what he is. He's a winner, and Dude, he was dropping dimes again yesterday. The passes he put, he's just, listen, when Tyreek said he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, you can actually make that argument. That's what I tweeted out yesterday. I said, say what you want, but it becomes subjective at this point. He's just as accurate as any of the best in the league. So if there was one of those QB competitions, I would count on him to win it. Okay? That's what I would do. I wouldn't count on Lamar Jackson to even come in top 9 out of 10. I guarantee you he'll be 10. That guy will probably be 1. So the accuracy yesterday, just too many examples already for him that he's the real deal, and he can play at an incredibly high level here in the NFL. Double T Sports, Big O Tua is looking great, better than Alabama's God favor. Better than Alabama God's favor. I don't know what that means. Sage says, good morning, Big O. Remember when Miami was interviewing head coaches and people complained that they were forced to work with Tua? What a dumb take now. Oh, yeah, Sage. You remember that? Yeah, we had some dumbass people. Oh, you're not going to get a coach because they've got to work with Tua. I forgot about that stupid statement. I mean, that's an incredibly stupid statement. And there's 300 people watching here. I bet my life 1 out of the 300 people said that. I bet my life on that, because that was common, that people would say, "Oh no, you think you're going to get a good quarterback, a good head coach because he's got to work with Tua." Sage, I remember that. That is, I mean, can you imagine if you go back and start to remember all the stupid shit that the anti-Tua people have said? That was definitely one of them. Oh, how stupid is this team that they're forcing whatever coach to work with Tua? Yeah, no, what a torture it is to work with Tua. Wow. And not enough of you have come forward, by the way, to just say, I was one of those. I was, but that's all right. Whatever. That's how, as I've always said many, many times when people make the bold stuff on the chat board, most of us don't follow whatever you say. So it doesn't really matter if you're right or wrong. Nobody's going to go back and check. Nobody's going to really know. So you can be as brash as you want and say whatever you want, because nobody's going to care what you say. Nobody's going to track what you say. So when you're dead ass wrong, nobody's going to find out. Now, if you're right, you might tell people that you said it, but still nobody's going to believe you because they're not tracking what you're saying. That's the fun part about all of this. But it is what it is. He's getting rid of the ball when he needs to, goes down to the ground when it needs to, reads the field well, looks off corners, and is throwing in stride, and now a running game. Yep. Well, he's doing everything that he normally does. It's that he just didn't have the coaching around him, the structure around him. Now he's got it. Oh, you're saying that he was better than he was at Alabama, Double T. Yeah, I mean, he was great at Alabama, and he's been great here, man. I mean, even you could go back and watch the YouTube videos of his first year. And people complaining, go watch my videos. Go watch my videos. And all I'm doing is praising the way he played and how he overcame all the crap that's around him. I never wavered on the kid. The only thing I've ever been worried about with him from the get-go was his injury history. That's the only thing I could ever be concerned about with Tua. Can he stay healthy? And in the end, it's not really can he stay healthy. That's actually phrased wrong. Will he make the right decisions to stay healthy? That's really the way we're supposed to phrase it, because he's not injury prone per se, that he gets hit, nicked, whatever, every time something happens. No. It's that he holds on to the ball and then he takes a just crushing blow that then, that becomes it. But he gets hit at times when he's passing the ball and all that stuff, and he survives most of that stuff pretty much. It's when he holds on to it for 4 or 5 seconds that somebody gets to really unload on his ass. And, so that's really only been the thing that you can pick on. Not his arm, not his height, not his work ethic, not his toughness, not his smarts, not his leadership, none of that. He excels at all that other stuff. The problem is injuries, and they're not around. He's getting rid of the football. He's playing smart football. He does that, he can have a long-ass career like all the other guys that we've talked about in the past. Max says, credit to the coaching and the O-line, Applebaum. They have been pass blocking well. Now they're run blocking. Kohu, an undrafted free agent, tackling and playing well. So sweet right now. Now, let me ask you, let's talk a little bit about that running game. They're blocking, and it helps to have Teron Armstead in the lineup because obviously you see the difference when he's not. I think it's also Jeff Wilson Jr. because Chase Edmonds did not understand the offense. He could not do the things you needed to do in this offense to be successful. Apparently, it was just one of those things. It was a tough combination for him, right? So you look at Jeff now because Mostert was still popping runs. Remember? Even while Chase was here, Mostert was still somewhat productive. So now in comes Jeff Wilson, and he had 119 yards yesterday. Was it 100? Yeah, 17 carries, 119 yards. Maybe he is complementing the line the way Chase couldn't. And maybe some of those holes and some of those opportunities were there, but Chase Edmonds could not find those opportunities. But Jeff Wilson, knows the blocking scheme, knows the offense better than Chase because he's been at it. He knows Mike McDaniel, and he has excelled. I got to tell you something. When Jeff Wilson scored that touchdown, and he's running towards the wall with Tyreek Hill, this is a team that's having fun. This is a team that's together. It's playing for each other. Here's the guy just got here, and Tyreek showing the leadership. He didn't go have his 150-yard game today. He wasn't complaining, wasn't pointing fingers. He was celebrating with his teammate, Jeff Wilson. And I found that to be a really cool moment that I don't think most people would even look at and even care. But that means a lot. That means a lot that you're happy for your teammates' success. Jeff Wilson was stuck in a glut of running backs over in San Francisco, wasn't playing nearly as much. So he comes here, and now he's going to become a big part of the offense because Miami needed somebody next to Mostert to complement him. And sure enough, here comes Jeff Wilson Jr. And he knows the offense. He's super comfortable. He knows the coach. And he's a great complement to what Mostert does. And yesterday, you rushed for nearly 200 yards on 33 carries because you had two running backs that understand the system, that understand the blocking scheme, and they know how to take advantage and where the cuts are going to be in the blocking scheme. And that's why I think you're also having a little more success. My point was, it's not so much that the line is doing a better job. Maybe the line was doing the job. Maybe Chase Edmonds wasn't doing the job. And I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give Jeff Wilson credit that he's doing the things that Chase Edmonds failed to do. I just don't believe that all of a sudden, that stuff is not going, it's not going to, all of a sudden it's going to exist now that, this guy is there and it never was there when the other guy would. No, they traded him for a reason. They traded him because it wasn't working out. You know what I didn't look at yesterday? Because the Denver Broncos played yesterday, right? And they obviously took on Chase Edmonds. So I'm wondering, how did Chase Edmonds do? Because now that I'm talking about this, I why would I look up the Denver stats to find out? I wasn't thinking about Chase Edmonds, but now that we're talking about this, I'm wondering, what did Chase Edmonds do? Because Denver, by the way, started off well in the first half and then faltered in the second half, and they ended up losing that game yesterday. So I'm intrigued to see what he did for Denver yesterday, and I'm trying to pull it up, but the damn box score won't come up here. Here we go. Let me see if I can pull it up here for Chase Edmonds. Okay. Every time I hit it, I just get a blank screen, and I'm waiting forever. I don't know why it's taking forever for it to pop up. But I'll tell you, Thomas Burt says 2 carries, 9 yards. Well, not a bad clip, but 2 carries is not necessarily what you want to pay for. If those are his stats. If it'll ever come up here, it's weird. Anyway, Cepha013, Big O from the start. You are the only few that understand what kind of player Tua is and the situation he was in. Well, I don't know. What can I tell you? I guess I see it differently than some out there. Yes, sir.
It was a Chase Edmonds type of day. 2 carries, 9 yards, 4.5 average, a long of 10.
Oh, okay. So he had 1 big carry, and then he lost yards
for 10, then he lost half a yard, and he finished with the Chase Edmonds day.
Okay, that's Chase Edmonds. Knight, thank you, sir, for the love in the super chat. He says, I'm not saying they, Ricky and Ronnie, but loved it. Oh, yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. But you know what, Knight? Here's the difference. Ricky and Ronnie were on a mediocre team. That's the difference. Ricky and Ronnie were on a team that was never going anywhere, just like the Dolphins have been for the last 25 years. They've never had a team that was going to do any goddamn thing in the playoffs. So Ricky and Ronnie and Ajayi and Lamar Smith and Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and all those teams, they never had a shot. They were never going to be special, as Jimmy Johnson said, because Jimmy Johnson was a complete failure in creating a special team. Yeah, he created a special defense, but he couldn't create a special team. And neither could Wanstead or Cam Cameron or anything like that. Mike McDaniel, right now, already is way better than any coach you've had here since Shula. Already. It's not even close, dude. You understand that? Mike McDaniel's job already, 10 games in, is better than anything that Jimmy Johnson ever did. Dave Wanstead, Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano, Adam Gase, all of them. I was never impressed by any of them. None. Nada. Yeah, we were impressed with Gase's first year and Flo's first year and Sperano with the wild crap. I get that. Yeah, we were caught in the moment, but that's not really real good coaching. This is what we're watching now on both sides of the ball. Can't say on special teams, Danny Crossman, yeah, you're on the unemployment line right now. You, Byron Jones, and Jason Sanders are all looking to go on the unemployment line. Okay? But what this guy's doing, this guy gets it, man. This guy gets it compared to all the other guys that probably really didn't get it. This has been impressive, what I'm watching. Because he's developing a quarterback, something that nobody else could do. He's developing an offense, something that nobody else could do. It's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Arizona, here we come. Carlos Alberto, Browns neutralized the middle of the field and our two best wide receivers, and Tua was still elite, but idiots were saying Tua couldn't adjust. That's because they keep moving the bar, and eventually they'll figure out, bro. He's Joe Montana, just lefty. That's all. It's Joe Montana, and they'll figure it out. You youngins have no idea. You only know the name. The older guys, they get taken aback when I say that, but that's all right. That's cool. It's all good. Like I told Cam yesterday, I said last year, you put Tua in Tennessee and they're going farther in the playoffs. You put him with the Rams, they win the Super Bowl. You put him in Minnesota, he'll take them farther than anything Kirk Cousins could do. It's just, you got to give him the weapons that some of those other teams have. Oh, they did this year. Look what's happening. Wow, what a shocker. You actually gave him structure, and now the kid's kicking ass. I think I saw that in Alabama. Now I'm seeing with Mike McDaniel. You can't see it, of course, with Brian Flores because he's a clown. He has no idea what offense is. Yep. And yes, Greer is a beast. And where are all those people about Chris Greer this, and he sucks, and he can't get it done? Where are all you clowns with that? Huh? Even local radio hosts in the morning that constantly picked on Chris Greer and look really, really stupid now. Are you apologizing to Chris Greer? Or the fact that they don't want you in the building, you still don't want to apologize? Adam Archuleta still didn't give Tua any praise yesterday. No, he did. Yeah, he did. No, that's not true, Tony. That's a lie. I watched the broadcast. He couldn't have sucked his ass more if he was a vacuum cleaner. That is a lie, dude. That's a flat-out lie on your part, Tony. All he did was actually blow him for 4 quarters. Adam Archuleta, somebody mentioned this on Twitter, and I forgot who it was because there's a shit ton of tweets that come in, and so I apologize. Somebody mentioned it to me that Adam Archuleta made such a turnaround that he must have gotten killed by the Tuanon after that broadcast. And I actually believe that. I actually believe that because we, Tuanon, I am Tuanon, of course. I'll admit it. I don't give a shit. I'm president of effing Tuanon. Okay? Yeah, we go after you. Yeah, because you're so wrong. So I am guaranteeing you that Adam Archuleta, after that last broadcast, got annihilated by Tuanon. And yesterday, he did the biggest stroke job. I swear. It's like, Tua was like, 80 happy endings by the end of the game by Adam Archuleta. Seriously. I mean, he couldn't have stroked him more, man. So, Tony, you are dead ass wrong, brother. Because I watched the in fact, Sean, what was I saying yesterday? I didn't even know it was Adam Archuleta. Because I don't pay attention to the broadcast. I listen to him, but it's like whatever. And I'm going, wow, this guy really, and I go to Sean yesterday, the guy whoever was on whoever was on today, that dude got it. That dude was praising Tua the right way. And Sean goes to me, dude, that was Archuleta. And I'm like, whoa, wow. And it was a complete turnaround from Archuleta yesterday than the last broadcast. I give him credit at least for that. Give that young man the credit that he deserves, the way he's playing. It was good. It was good. Big O, except for playing from the shotgun, Montana rarely did. Tua is a lot like Joe Montana in his skill set and command of the offense, a quiet assassin. He's exactly like Montana. It's just lefty. The lazy people will tell you Steve Young, but he doesn't play anything like Steve Young. Not even close. But that's the lazy thing because they do the lefty shit. He plays like Montana, not like Young. But those are people that don't really pay attention, overall. That's all it is. It's just a lazy take, lefty thing. He's actually more Ken Stabler than he ever will be, Steve Young, to be quite honest. Anyway, but yeah, he's done a phenomenal job. All right, we got the Heat tonight. I am headed out to the game today. I'm going to go watch the Heat and the Suns. I'm actually going to have a little fun tonight and watch a little basketball. I'm going to go down to the arenas with the wife and have a good time and hang out with and visit Ira Winderman. But now Ira Winderman's going to visit us with our Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
I had to turn on the air, bro. All right. It's getting hot in here, so the air wasn't on. So these are things that you have to do sometimes, and you figure you have enough time and almost. How you doing, Ira? Good morning, sir.
Good. It's funny because a lot of times I forget to turn my ceiling fan off, and it makes sort of, in the background a little distraction. But then I have this lapel microphone on, and I literally have strangled myself a few times trying to get up to turn the fan off and then get back to the computer in time so I can understand the quick walk away and fixing things. But it's going good, Big O, because for the rare time I can talk to you after a Heat winning streak, and I don't care that they played a G League team the last two. Just like a shooter needs to see the ball go through the hoop, just like a passer needs to have a few completions to get on a roll, this could be a good thing in jump-starting the Heat because Lord knows they needed the jump start.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I know it's the Hornets, and they got a couple guys. They were the healthier Hornets in the second go-around also. So that, I guess you beat a better Hornets team. Tonight, this is where you can impress me if you can beat the Suns. And I don't think is Chris Paul going to play or not?
Chris
I know
Paul's
he's got
50-50. They went out of Monty Williams said, until he's 150%, we're not going to force it. As everyone knows, Chris Paul is about to celebrate his 73rd birthday, so he's a little bit older. So you got to be a little careful with an older point guard. That without Cam Johnson, they have, of course, the whole Jay Crowder situation. He didn't report. He wasn't going to start. He wasn't happy. They had DeAndre Ayton in the offseason, had to sign an offer sheet with the Pacers before they were forced to match. So it's been a little bit more uneven, and that's why, Big O, even when you look at the Heat being a game under 500, you can really see an entire league trying to get its footing. There's a bunch of teams 7-6, 6-7. It's going to be that 20 games, figure out who we are, and then you can make better assessments.
You're saving, going to have surgery now. So does that mean he's done for the year? Because they think like in a couple months he'll be able to run. Is this one of those things that they'll just hold him out for the whole year? Because I know they ended up signing Orlando Robinson to the two-way contract, obviously, because they need a big. So walk us through this whole thing.
When I originally started researching the story, I was told by someone familiar with the process that Omer would be gone for the season. Then the Heat started walking that back on me and said, wait a minute. If he has a surgery, we're talking about 3 months, then he can be back. So you're talking about March. But as you know, Big O, when you're away for that long and you're a young player, that it takes a while then for your rehab process. We push to April. And eventually, as you know, forcing the square peg into the round hole that close to the playoffs is a very dangerous situation. We've seen over the years that he tried to bring players back. It doesn't necessarily work out that well. So you have that in play number one. Plus, there's two factors here, and I don't know which way this goes. Omer will be a free agent this offseason. So on one hand, do you want to come back and show people, hey, I'm healthy, I can still play? Or on the other hand, do you not want to come back at less than 100% and people see you at less than your best, as opposed to, hey, remember last December and January when Bam was out, I was a double-double machine. I can be that for you guys. So I think we're going to sort of get in that Victor Oladipo-like cycle. Omer is coming along, and when we have an update, we'll tell you. But I would say when you look at the Miami Heat and their shortfall in the middle and being small as it is anyway, I think this is a little bit of a tenuous moment, especially when we see the dreaded two words next to Dwayne Dedmon on every injury report, plantar fasciitis. That's the kind of injury. It comes, it goes, it comes and goes, but it never fully disappears. And beyond Bam, there's not another center. This team, I think, played it too small, and I think now they're in a little bit of an area of concern.
All right. Orlando Robinson, what are you expecting them to do? And with the two-way contract, there's only so many games he can participate in, right?
And it's prorated. People think you can play only be in the active roster for 50 games, but it's not like you can sign a guy at the end of the season and go, oh, you have a fresh 50. So Orlando Robinson shows up and he's eligible to play in 43. That's his number. 43 games on the active roster, not even playing, just listed as active. They have 69 games left, so they're going to have to do a little bit of a dance there. He is an outside shooting threat. He really increased his range at Fresno State last season. He can rebound, but he's a beneath the rim athlete. He's not a great athlete. He doesn't have great athleticism. He has very good positioning. He could conceivably play with Bam Adebayo because he can stretch the floor. But I'm still not so sure if you're going with a neophyte with size, you wouldn't necessarily go with Nikola Jovic instead anyway. So I still think that is sort of insurance more than anything. But I got to tell you, Big O, and we'll talk about this, unfortunately, at some point. If there's a point where Bam Adebayo's out for a game, there's no easy answer here. There's no easy plan B because Dwayne Dedmon is shown to be a foul machine. So if he's going to start and get 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes, then where do you go? This is really I don't want to say pins and needles roster, but there's a bunch of duct tape and wire holding this thing together at the moment.
Yeah, no, it looks like they've kind of put themselves in a corner and they have limitations. And almost every time they turn the corner, there's like a limitation if you have some kind of a setback. And then we're looking around and there's a lot of players that are, a Lowry, a Jimmy Butler. Now you're having your savings stuff, but you have the older players that could also break down on you. And then all of a sudden that happens and, all hell breaks loose.
It's a domino effect. It's a domino effect. Other guys fall down. I completely understand that. That's where you wind up the way they put this roster together, where they wanted to go small and all their best wings. And remember, Tyler Hero's missed the last 3 games with an ankle. He's questionable for tonight against the Suns. Here's the thing, Big O, and I wrote this on my Ask Ira at sunsentinel.com this morning. And meanwhile, Jay Crowder's desperate to play, wants to get on a court, wants to be part of something. We know through his social media, wants to be in Miami. So everyone is texting me and saying, fine, just trade Duncan Robinson. Put in a conditional pick if you want. Orlando Alzagari, who the hell is trading for 4 years left on Duncan Robinson's contract at over $60 million based on what we saw at the formerly known building as FTX Arena on Saturday when he couldn't make a shot, was foul prone and getting in the way defensively, couldn't do anything. One person, we were sitting on press row during the game, leaned over to me and said, he's unplayable right now. And I know there are moments he hit shots like he did on, the previous game against Charlotte on Thursday night, but don't try to sell me or anyone that Duncan Robinson's a trade asset. No, he's a contract, but he's not a trade asset. And again, Big O, I come back twice a week with you on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports here, and we talk about Heat trade assets. They really don't have a lot. And if you're not making the huge deal with Bam Adebayo, there's not a lot else there.
All right. And do you expect that Nets situation to get cloudy down the line?
I do. I
almost that's my last hope. But then again, I keep wondering somebody's going to beat out Miami for an offer unless he controls where he wants to go.
And again, why would he control where he wants to go to a 500 Heat team at the moment? Again, you have to make yourself sexy. It's like there's times the Big O shows up, he shaved the goatee and he looks like crap. And then there's mornings like today and you go, hey, that's a good looking man. So it's just a matter of the Heat at the moment are not a sexy team. If you're a free agent, you're not saying, I want to go there because they almost made the NBA Finals last season. Instead, Kevin Durant sort of looks like the Heat as they sort of got the same record as we do. They're not in that much of a better shape. The Heat need to make a run. It works out okay for this reason, Big O. Most players signed in the offseason cannot be traded till December 15th. So we have a month. The Heat's two bigger signings, Dedmon and Oladipo, cannot be traded till January 15th. So they have 2 months. So the deal is likely closer to the February NBA trading deadline than sometime soon. The one thing I'll say is I do not doubt Andy Ellisberg, Pat Riley, Adam Simon, Nick Harrison if they want to get a deal done. The other thing I say is, and this has been thrown a lot my way, I've seen it on the chat boards when we do our Acura Pembroke Pines reports, I just don't think they would trade Kyle Lowry, whether he's up or down or anything, as long as he's still Jimmy Butler's running buddy. Because the one thing I know in life, as bad as, say, an irascible wife can be, an unhappy Jimmy Butler is one of the toughest things any man can be around. So I think you got to keep Jimmy happy.
But wait a minute. Don't you have to also, like, pull him into the office, sit down with him and say, hey, Jimmy, I know he's your guy, but what are the results? What are we getting here? He's not helping us. He's not helping you. He didn't help you last year. He's not a difference maker right now, and he's taking up a large chunk of our salary cap. We need to do what's best around you. And unfortunately, right now, it's a tough decision. He's a great friend of yours. He's the godfather of your daughter. We get it. But he's not helping you get to the title that we all want to win. So what do you want to do? Do you want to stay status quo, or do you want to win? Because that's what I would do if I'm Pat Riley. I would sit down and tell him, and I'd make him understand, I get it. I'd love to be loyal, but we can be loyal if you're keeping up your end of the bargain. Unfortunately, Kyle Lowry is not keeping up his end of the bargain.
And Big O, you laid out a very rational approach there. But laying out a rational approach to Jimmy Butler doesn't always get it done. Tom Thibodeau is a pretty rational coach and was a very good friend of Jimmy Butler, and they were together in Minnesota, and rational thought did not prevail. Jimmy Butler got within a Kawhi Leonard shot of making the Eastern Conference Finals in Philadelphia, but rational thought did not prevail. I think it's quite possible that he told Jimmy Butler before the Kyle Lowry thing, Jimmy, we love Kyle. He's a winner. Eric Spoelstra calls him QB1. But he's also 35, asking for $85 million over 3 years. He's going to be 38 at the end of this deal. Are you sure it's in your best interest then, in that offseason, in the 2021 offseason? Jimmy Butler tends to be more rational to what he thinks than what outsiders think. And man, you saw it, Big O, in that first game against Charlotte when he had the 35 and the big numbers and the stats. When Jimmy is great, he can lift this Miami Heat team almost single-handedly. He did it in the 2020 all the way to the NBA Finals. He did it within one shot last year against a very good, well-coached Boston Celtics team in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is Jimmy's world. Like, I think at some point, Jimmy's going to knock on the door of that beautiful Biscayne Bay office and go, Pat, I think I'd rather have this office myself. You're going to have to relocate. Jimmy controls everything in that building. That's the bottom line.
Just to go around the NBA a little bit, sure. The Nets, they hire Jacques Vaughn. They did the right thing.
Yes.
They've been doing all the wrong things. They finally did the right thing, but then you've got people that are still trying to tell them they did the wrong thing. They should have gone Udoka, and I just, what the hell is wrong with people?
They have so many ancillary issues. If you're telling me Ime Udoka is a better coach than Jacques Vaughn, you certainly have a platform based on last year's playoffs. If you're telling me this is a team that can't afford a single goddamn misstep, that's the reality there. They have to be straight and narrow now. They can't become more of a joke, draw more inspection. Big O, my greater question to you is this. They reeled off a winning streak and looked very good without Kyrie Irving, with workers working, with their shooters back, when they got Joe Harris, when they get Joe Harris, when they have Seth Curry, he can take care of the shooting. I'm really curious to see what it looks like when Kyrie Irving comes back, and that's part B of this equation. If Kevin Durant does stay, and if Kevin Durant realizes, you were just talking about friends with Kyle Lowry, Kyrie Irving is my friend, but we're better without him, is there a trade partner out there for the Nets for toxic Kyrie Irving at the moment? It's just a short-term rental. He's going to be a free agent in the offseason anyway. That's when I think it'll get fascinating. Just like you mentioned, Ime Udoka was toxic and the Nets moved away from that. If Kyrie Irving's out on the trade market, does anyone say this is the best ball handler, one of the best ball handling guards in the NBA? This guy is instant offense, can give us 40 on every night. So I wonder where the ethics will be there. It could be a really interesting trade deadline.
Lakers are going to do it. Lakers will do it.
It's interesting. You say the Lakers are going to do it. But the Lakers also have this nice chunk of about 30, 35 million in the offseason to spend on a player. So if you get your one chunk during the LeBron James era, do you spend it on Kyrie? All of a sudden, or do you sit back and go, you know what? We don't need that either. We need someone who fits in better. I'm really curious. I will say this.
Who's the option? Who's the option in the offseason that you would say
you can trade into it? You can get a player to trade into it. You can do the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner deal then. Miles Turner on a sign-and trade. You have other options. I do think Kyrie comes back. I do think he loads up the offense because he is one of the greatest scorers of our generation. But what does that do record-wise for the Nets? I will say this. You have finally, after a year and a half, talked me off the ledge. I'm not scared bleepless of the Nets anymore, no matter their configuration. I'm scared of the Bucks. They're great. I'm scared of the Celtics. They're very, very good. I'm very concerned about the Cavaliers. I watched them last night without Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland goes for 50. They are really good. I'm telling you, Big O, the top 3 spots at the Inn might already be filled in the East with Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Boston. The Heat might find themselves in a death fight just to get home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, listen, while you're talking about those, what I'm concerned about is the Heat. Are they good enough? That's really what I'm concerned about. And can they actually
the Heat have to be at their best every night to give themselves their best chance. And Big O, over 82 games and 6 months, to ask everyone to be all-the-time players, that's hard. Look at this road trip coming up. It ends in a back-to-back. Cleveland on Sunday, Minnesota on Monday. I know the Timberwolves aren't great. But if you're telling Jimmy Butler, give me 35 minutes on Sunday and give me 32 minutes on Monday, Kyle Lowry at 36, do the same thing, that's the problem. There's not a lot of wiggle room for the Heat. So all of a sudden, if you lose at Cleveland on Sunday, a week from this coming Sunday, and you lose at Minnesota on the second night of a back-to-back, at best that's a 500 trip starting with Toronto and Washington. The wiggle room and the margin is so thin for this team. This team is not like, I'll look off, one receiver and throw it to Jalen Waddle instead. I won't throw it to Tyreek. No, the Heat don't have that plan B. Jimmy Butler has to be freaking great every night. And I know you mentioned this, and Bam Adebayo has to be better.
You didn't mention Trent Sherfield. He was fantastic also, okay? That's all
they got a number. Their big 3 right now is better than the Heat's big 3. I will go that far. And even Gesicki gives them moments also.
Actually, for the first time in a long time, the Heat are not even the best team in town. It's probably Panthers and the Dolphins right now are the best teams in town at this point. The Heat is probably behind those two, when usually the Heat is always number 1 every single year for the last 20 years practically. This is weird. This is really weird.
Big O, you and your wife are going to be at the arena tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The Heat aren't necessarily a fun team either. The Dolphins are fun. Every Sunday we have fun. The Panthers, when they have all their guys in that first line, now they have 2 good lines like a good team should. They can be fun. The Heat have to find a way to win and to make it fun. Man, it is drudgery at times.
Yeah, they don't have explosive players, so you can't be fun. That's the problem. They have blue collar players. Bam's a blue collar, Jimmy's a blue collar, Lowry's a blue collar. There are no dynamic scorers on the Miami Heat squad, unfortunately. These are all
you get the occasional alley-oop with Bam Adebayo, and those can be fun. You get the Strus's loose nights when he makes the 8 3-pointers, and that can be fun. But, man, it has been a slog.
But it's not John Morant dynamics. It's not LeBron dynamics.
No, they've been the FTX of the NBA to this point.
It's not Luka Doncic, dynamics. That's what I'm saying. That there is nobody there isn't 1 or 2 guys on this team that are like dynamic players. You know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree. Hopefully it comes around. Maybe Victor Oladipo one day shows up in the arena in a uniform. And until then, we're waiting. You know what? Sometimes in an 82-game season, you just hold your ground. You just stay competitive, and then you make your move. Because I got to tell you, last 3 or 4 years, the Heat have always had that run, win 8 of 11, win 9 of 13 or something. Their run, I think, is coming, But right now, it's been hard. It's been difficult for this team. Absolutely. Tonight, Devin Booker comes in, DeAndre Ayton. There's plenty of offense on the other team. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
You and I have covered sports for about 70 years combined, and probably a little bit more now. But when in covering this, Oladipo, and I think you would agree with me on this, he reminds me of the player that was the great dynamic player, but unfortunately, all the injuries have just taken a toll, and you'll never see that player ever again. He might flash a little bit for you,
Correct.
but I don't think he'll ever be that guy that was that dude night in and night out. And it's not his fault. Unfortunately, all those injuries, and it happens in almost every sport I've ever covered, that they're that great player that just broke down, and eventually those things wear you out, man. And I just don't think we'll ever see the Oladipo we saw early in his career.
But you know what, Big O? That's a great point you make that leads me into this point. And then at that point, that player has to recognize that. And if he continues waiting until he's 100%, that may never happen. So what Victor Oladipo has to do now is say, you know what? I'm 75%, but I'm 75% of a pretty good player. I'll go out there. I'm 80%. I think what has happened in recent years with Victor Oladipo is because he's constantly an impending free agent or has contracts being offered to him, he keeps waiting till he's 100%. I don't mean this in a bad way. And when you relate me to you and our 70 years covering, it's the same. Big O, is there a single morning you wake up and you got to get bed and you say, I feel 100%? Most of us don't as we get older. I think that's where Victor Oladipo has to go. He has to walk into the arena today, to the shoot around right now and say, you know what? I feel 70% and I'm ready to go. We all do that. We all wake up and we're 60%, we're 50%, and we give it our best. I think we need to see whatever he has left. What does Victor Oladipo have left now? Because I need to know that for the trading deadline, for when he becomes tradable, for other possible deals. Can I keep relying this absolutely heavy on, God bless him, Gabe Vincent, or at a certain point do I need to get another third guard? I want to see Vic out there. I want to see just what he has. You know what? Maybe it's good enough, but we need to know sooner rather than later.
You know, you bring that up, and that is one of the more phenomenal points I've ever heard in talk radio, because Dwayne Wade did not play at 85% for his last 8 years of his career. Marino blew out his Achilles, never fixed it.
Right.
That thing rolled up into the back of his leg. He never fixed it. That's why he wore that boot.
Yes.
So he was never playing at 100% ever again after he blew out his Achilles, because the guy said, nah, I don't need it, and didn't fix it. You know what I'm saying? So I saw Tim Hardaway play with plantar fasciitis. I saw Jason Taylor.
Plantar fasciitis, but Tim Hardaway played when he had no cartilage left in his knee and was pure bone on bone and took his shots and got this invasive liquid fluid and all of that and just did that instead. So yes, you just reach a point where you just give it the best you can and you just go from there. And that's what it has to be. The classic case to me is Arvydas Sabonis when he played for the Trailblazers, wore those boots like Herman Munster, couldn't get around, but said, you know what? I'm still one of the headiest players in the NBA. I'm still maybe the best passing big man of all time. I'm going to use my special skill. Whatever it is for Vic, go out there. Let me know. I don't blame you, Victor Oladipo. I don't expect Indiana Pacer Victor Oladipo all-star. We get older, you moved on. Give me the best you can right now. I think we need to see that so you can make a decision.
Great point. All right, what are you working on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Just posted a story on Bam Adebayo that after years of Bam switching on everyone, guarding a point guard and having no one in the middle for the Miami Heat, the Heat are now keeping Bam more in the paint, playing him more as a traditional center. They don't have the second line of defense of PJ Tucker like they had last year, and I like to see it because there's nothing I sort of bothered me more, Big O, than watching a Heat game. The opposition runs a 1-5 pick and roll to start the game. Bam's out in the middle of nowhere, guarding the point guard. Some big center rolls inside and has Kyle Lowry on him. They're playing more traditional. I think that's better. They're getting their big man closer to the rim. They're getting the rebounds they need. And I give Eric Spoelstra credit. He's adjusted to this year's roster by making that change. So that's at sunsentinel.com right now in your paper tomorrow. We'll have coverage later of the Phoenix Suns game. Hopefully Orlando Alzagari doesn't run on the court because he wants to see more exciting basketball. So we'll have that for you tomorrow in tomorrow's paper.
I'll play them tonight, so that'll make it really exciting. That's the idea.
If that's the case, folks, take the Suns and give the points.
Yeah, that's it, bro. Spo, you need some help on the bench. I'll bring that fire off the bench and it's
So you're
over.
saying you might hit more threes. You're saying you might hit more threes tonight than Duncan. Okay, it'll be interesting.
Yes, right from my seats too. Well, holding a beer, just heaving it. All right, make sure you follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat, and of course, you got to subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He'll be back on Wednesday for the RedRecover.com inside the paint show. Ira, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate
Talk to you later this week. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go, Ira Winderman.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA Report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
There we go. I'm sorry. Turned off the mic there a second. Thank you all, as always, tuning in. Don't forget, by the way, to smash the hell out of the like button. And we thank you yesterday. You guys were strong hitting that like button. Really strong. We got well over 1,000 likes yesterday on the show. What was it yesterday? I want to say it got to, let me see where it's at. Thank you all out there. That was strong yesterday. We are up to, let's see, 1,600 likes yesterday. Thank you. It's funny, 16,000 views for the show yesterday, and 1,600 likes, 10%. It's the funniest thing in the world how the very few people that watch actually hit the like button. I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things. It's tough for people to hit the like button. But if you can, please, because that helps the show grow and reach other people out there. Greer deserves GM of the year. Dude, Tua's working on the MVP. Mike McDaniel's working on Coach of the Year. And Chris Greer is working on Executive of the Year. They all should be in the mix. Every one of them should be in the mix for all those awards. I'm not saying that they should win them because we're only in week 10, but I think Chris Greer has done one of the best GM jobs for the Miami Dolphins that I've seen in decades. And right now, Tua clearly is the best quarterback since Marino. Tua's 1,000 times better than anything we've ever had since. In fact, it's an insult to compare Tua to anything out there except Marino. Okay, that's the standard we got to hold Tua to. Okay, when we compare him to the other two Hall of Famers on this team, Greasy and Marino. It's an insult to compare Tua to any of these quarterbacks you've had here the last 20 years. I don't even want to put Tua in the same sentence with any of the quarterbacks that have been here in the past. Sorry, I guess it sounds like an insult, but none of you belong in the same sentence with Tua because none of these quarterbacks can do anything that Tua is doing, even with this talent. I don't care what it is. Okay. And watching, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the comparison stats between Tua and Herbert. Oh, baby. Have you guys seen this? I posted this yesterday on Twitter. And okay, wow. Okay. I just some caught my eye there. In fact, wait a minute. Let me go back to that what caught my eye. And there. Okay, so now let me go to, here we go. Let's bring this up for you guys. I don't know if you've seen this. If you follow me on Twitter, then you've seen this, but I put it up today or last night. the comparisons between Tua and Justin Herbert, because I watched the choker yesterday play again and lose, of course, because that's what he does. Please, Sean, there you go. I think you'll be able to see it. Let me see. You'll be able to see. Yeah. You can see it right there. So Tua's played 8 games and Herbert's played 9 games. Tua has 2,265 yards to Herbert's 2,254 yards. One less game. More yards, 18 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, 13 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, more touchdowns, less interceptions, less games. Completion percentage, 71%. 66.4 is exceptional, by the way. Okay, I'm not going to make this sound like 66.4 is weak. No, that's very good. Anything over 65, that's what elite quarterbacks do. But 71, that's what the best quarterback in the NFL does right now. Then yards per attempt, right? Or per play. 6.4 yards for Herbert. 9.1 for Tua Tagovailoa. Quarterback rating, 90.6 to 118.4. So who's the better quarterback? Not who's the better arm, not who can run faster, not who's bigger. Okay? That's not the best quarterback. Who's the best quarterback? It's not even close. The discussion is not even there anymore. It's over. Don't even mention Justin Herbert anymore. All you're talking about with Justin Herbert is physical talent. And yesterday, when they were making the comparisons with Phillip Rivers and his 3-quarter throwing motion, and I'm laughing and I'm going, yeah, he's kind of like Phillip Rivers too. He puts up stats and he doesn't win shit. Yeah, it's kind of the same guy. Yeah, they got the same guy. It's a beautiful thing. Justin Vaccaro says, Big O, I doubt you remember this, but back in July, I sent you a super chat saying my prediction for Tua this season was 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns. That would be the MVP conversation. People laughed at me. He might have that if he could play the other 3 games. Because the amazing part is he still may get to 4,000 yards and missing the 3 games. And Justin, by the way, thank you for the love on the super chat. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. All right, Alan Pupart is ready to go. He's ready to start hour number 2. And we'll ask him the magic question to start off hour number 2 right here on the Big O Radio Show on the Sports Talk 305 network.
Welton Ra has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Ra, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Ra can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Ra can help. Call 954-966-4646.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Dolphins fans, time to get insight on your favorite team with your favorite reporter with an Expos hat. Sports Illustrated's Alan Pupart in our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on a Big O radio show.
All righty, there he is. Good morning, Mr. Montreal. How you doing? Good.
What is up?
Okay.
Doing great.
All right.
Doing great.
All right. We got to follow up. We're going to follow up every week on this.
Go for it.
You're not sticking with this, right? If Teddy Bridgewater played, practiced, did everything, they would not miss a beat. He would be playing and he would be in the MVP conversation.
Here's where I'm going to have a big bone to pick with you. I have a friend follower who sent me a clip of what you said last night, and you misquoted me, which is a massive cardinal rule of any form of journalism, and you should know better. I never said the level of performance of the offense would be exactly the same. What I said was that the drop off probably would not be as significant as you seem to think it is. There's a big difference.
And you still think that?
I still think that the drop off would not be anywhere near as significant as you seem to think it is. Having said that, Tua is playing lights out. He had two gorgeous throws yesterday that I would rank up there in his top three. And he's put himself in the MVP conversation, even though he might have to fight off some votes from Tyreek Hill as well. But I do think the offense would.
What did Teddy Bridgewater ever do in his career to ever think that he was anything more than average to mediocre? That's what I want to know. What kind of shrooms you're inhaling? What kind of dope you're smoking? Because I want some of it, by the way. First of all, I mean that's really why I want it, because you're getting high as hell if you don't think there's a major drop off when Teddy Bridgewater in his entire career has been mediocre to average on his best. This guy couldn't average 2 touchdowns a game, my brother, when he had line and he had a running game and he had receivers, and he's had everything that Tua never had until this year. He's had that.
Here's my question to you. Why do you feel the need? Your love for Tua aside, which is cool, which I respect. Why do you constantly feel the need to dump on Teddy Bridgewater, who has been a serviceable?
It's not a matter of dumping. It's just a fact that he's not that good. He's never been that good. So
has he ever played with any kind of a freak show of an offense with the designs and the speed that he has, and the offensive line, which by the way is performing great. I mean, on a pretty much weekly basis, was absolutely outrageous yesterday. It's just, why is it that only Tua's game would be elevated? Tua's the one, like you said, you kept saying all along, put the right pieces around him, he's going to kick some ass. Why can it not apply to any other quarterback other than Tua? And I'm not saying Teddy Bridgewater is as good as Tua. I'm just saying
that's my point.
It's borderline offensive for you to keep dumping on Teddy Bridgewater like that. Or did I miss the part where Or did I miss the part where he threw for over 300 yards against Minnesota with a shit offensive line that did not have to run Armstead? Or did I miss the part where he led a really, really good 2-minute drive for a touchdown against Cincinnati after coming into the game cold after Tua was knocked out, and then threw for 193 yards in one half and then the final 5 minutes of the second quarter? Or did I dream that part?
No, I get that. I get he'll flash and have some moments, but I've watched his entire career. He's just a pedestrian. He's always been pedestrian.
He's also never had anything like this. Big O, do you, in all your years of covering the Dolphins,
had a better line in Minnesota and a better running game in Minnesota?
Hold on, let me ask you this. In all your years of covering the Dolphins, okay, remove quarterback from the equation. Have you ever seen anything like what they're doing on offense in terms with all the schemes they're running? I mean, yesterday they ran for almost 200 yards. You tell me they didn't play. First of all, find me anybody on offense who didn't have a great game yesterday. No, that's number one. Number two, they were borderline perfect on offense yesterday, other than false start on Robert Jones, the high snap, and then Cedric Wilson, for some reason, maybe didn't know the rule that he could have just chucked it out of bounds on that double reverse that they wanted to call with the option pass. That's 3 plays out of what is 65. I mean, they were like borderline perfect on offense yesterday.
Yeah,
and Tua is a big part of that. But he's, I mean, you want to talk about putting pieces around him? I mean, they have done it.
I get it.
So, okay,
and buddy, when he didn't have pieces around him, he still won more than he lost. When he didn't have a coach that supported him, he still threw more touchdowns than interceptions.
They won because of defense last year. Come on. They won because of defense and because they were facing Tyrod Taylor and Mike Lennon and Ian Book and Cam Newton.
And now you're dressing up this whole offensive thing, and you're saying, oh, yeah, and Tua's playing well. Dude, Tua's the one that stirs the drink here.
I didn't say he played well. I said he's played great.
Where you and I differ,
I said
I look at Tua as an elite passer. You don't. You don't look at Tua as an elite passer. I do. That's the thing. From the get-go, I looked at him as an elite passer.
Right now, absolutely, without question, he's an elite passer right now.
There are maybe 27 quarterbacks in the NFL that cannot do what he does when it comes to accuracy and ball placement on a consistent basis. There's only a couple of guys in the league that can do what he does. Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, Brady. There's very few guys. Nobody in his division. Nobody. Josh Allen is not even close to having the accuracy and ball placement that Tua has. Do you agree with me on that or not?
I agree, but they're apples and oranges. That's not what Josh Allen is as a quarterback. And I will give you this. Hold on. As to your overall point, I think you're grossly exaggerating. I will tell you this. I will give you this. There were two throws he made yesterday that very, very few quarterbacks in the NFL make. And they came back to back. The one against the one to Waddle, and then the ones to Sherfield in the end zone.
Let me tell you something. The one he threw to Tyreek, most can't do that either.
Which one?
Most quarterbacks can't actually loft the ball and leave it on the timing play that he threw before Tyreek, even that little floater, that little loaf of bread that he threw.
Where Tyreek's got 5 yards on the guy and just came back to the ball?
5 yards, bro. It was like a 25-yard play, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about Tyreek had 5 yards on the guy and he just ran back for the ball. Big whoop. I mean, come on. This is where you and I...
See, that's where you and I disagree because he threw that before the break.
Nothing extraordinary about that throw. I'm sorry.
See? Well, you weren't impressed when he threw one between four guys. So I get it. See, that's where you and I are going to differ.
It wasn't between four guys at the time the ball was.
I look at him like Joe Montana. He's that passer. He's that dude. He he doesn't have his credits and his stature because he hasn't accomplished shit yet. But as a passer, that's the way I look at him. There's only 2, 3 guys, 4 guys in the league that could do what he does. That's what makes him elite. That's why this offense is humming so well, because he is such an exceptional passer. That's where you and I are going to always differ on this one. He's going to have to win a Super Bowl or two before you come on over to my side. It's probably what's going to happen.
No.
After he wins a Super Bowl or two,
it's not going to take that.
I know. Huh?
It's not going to take that. It's not going to take that.
Oh yeah. The way it sounds, yeah, he's going to need to accomplish something really great, and then you're going to say, no, yeah, this guy's one of the best of all time.
Okay, and I'm still Kyrie Irving or what?
Huh?
Am I still Kyrie Irving? Am I still Kyrie Irving?
What about
Kyrie Irving? You called me Kyrie Irving yesterday.
Well, I did for what? What did I say?
For my refusal to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. On your compare. Yes. Putting Teddy Bridgewater and Tua in the same sentence. You're drinking shrooms, bro. You're drinking shrooms.
Okay, but you also misquoted me when you said there would be no drop off. That's not what I said.
Or little, and please, bro. The drop off would be like if you're falling off a 4,000-foot cliff. This guy sees the game way better than Bridgewater. He throws it way better than Bridgewater. Come on, man.
Good, and hopefully, like I said last week, hopefully we won't have to find out. But the only clear apples to apples comparison is if Bridgewater knows he's starting, has a full week of practice, and can play the full game. Then you can have sort of an apples to apples comparison as opposed to him coming into the middle of the game. Anyway,
all right.
But
so
as I said before, go ahead.
All right. Offensive line.
Yep.
I'm kind of caught in it where they played well. There's no doubt about it. But how much is it that Wilson Jr. also understands the damn blocking scheme? And he, like Mostert was popping runs during Chase's existence, but Chase wasn't doing his job. And so, again, you find a player that understands how to play the game at a higher level, sees things differently, knows the offense and the blocking scheme. So they played well up front. But how much is it that Wilson also understands what you're doing? Because he looked so natural yesterday, man. So it's kind of like I think it's a give and take between both, that the player you added and obviously the guys up front did a marvelous job.
No, he's excellent. And I think the people in San Francisco, I reached out to my colleague, my SI Fan Nation colleague in San Francisco, and he was like, that dude can play. And you see it, but the 49ers got enamored with Christian McCaffrey, and you see and Chase Edmonds, great guy and all that. And when he joined the Dolphins, he was psyched about the scheme. He was like, part of the reason I came here is the scheme. But it didn't work. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of those on the trade deadline day. I was honestly more jacked about the Wilson trade than I was about the Chubb trade.
A lot of people were. A lot of people were like you.
What an upgrade! Holy shit! What an upgrade!
Yeah.
And this was like the one slightly missing element maybe on offense, that you only had like one really dependable running back. Now you got two guys. And interesting, Mike McDaniel said Friday, we're probably going to be even with both guys, but they both understand that if somebody's got the hot hand, we're going with him. We'll look at the snap count from yesterday. It's like double the snaps for Wilson. The dude was just balling. Yeah. And then it's not like Mostert was doing anything wrong, but Wilson was completely outrageous.
Well, but what I love also, you know, that touchdown Wilson scores, I was talking about this. Tyreek runs with him all the way to the back of the end zone. I find that really cool that he's celebrating his moment with him. You know, and this wasn't a Tyreek game. This wasn't a 150-yard, 2-touchdown game by him. He had kind of a pedestrian game by his standards, and yet he's in that moment with Wilson celebrating. And I found that to be a really cool thing, that guys are happy for other guys. And when obviously winning is the ultimate, cure for everything. But I think there's a good vibe in that locker room.
Yeah, I think we all know where it comes from, and that's if putting his offensive genius aside, because to me, I'm blown away by the guy and the scheme and the play designs and all that. Besides that, what he's done in terms of getting everybody to buy in and everybody to be like more loosey goosey, major props to the guy. And the sad truth is he may not win Coach of the Year because there's like a lot of really good candidates. It's tough right now. You can't overlook Kevin Sirianni because the Eagles are undefeated, but that was a crazy team. Brian Dable being 7-2 with a team that I look at that talent and go,
frauds. They're frauds. It'll fall apart. It'll fall apart with the Giants as the season goes on.
If he makes the playoffs at 9-8, even at 9-8, if they go 2-6 the rest of the way with that talent. That's a hell of a job. But my point is that Mike McDaniel should belong in any conversation for Coach of the Year, just as Tua and Tyreek should belong in the conversation for NFL MVP. Although Tyreek might be more likely for like offensive player of the year, and Chris Greer belongs in the conversation for executive or GM of the year, even though I think Howie Roseman's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, but look at just yesterday. Shell is at right tackle. Robert Jones is at left guard. Bethel is making plays all over the field that you just found. You made the trade for Wilson Jr. You made the trade for Chubb before the game even starts. Okay, here's another slam for you. Teddy Bridgewater is out with the knee. Did you flinch? Normally you would flinch. Oh, shit, the third guy's got to be called up. No, it's Skyler. I feel good. Even in that sense there, as a Dolphins fan, you're not like nervous that Skyler may have to go in or something like that. You're like, all right, the kid can defend himself. He can actually, do a half decent job. So the examples are like all over the place, on a consistent basis. And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if your ass is working tomorrow because they're bringing in some kickers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
the only negative of the game that we have, really, unfortunately.
That and Agba being gone for the year.
Well, yeah, that's just bad news. That's just terrible. God.
Yeah, and he's got the yips, and it's like, and I think I had made that point. Is like field goal kickers to me are like almost like goalies in hockey. There are so few that are great every single solitary year, and then you have those that have great year. And Sanders' pattern had always been 2018, he was very good, 19 man. 2020, he was great. 2021, not so much. And then this year is kind of like falling back again. And to me, the worst part, along with the PATs, he hasn't had a field goal made outside of 50. You need those 53, 54-yard field goals every once in a while. So, but here's the point, though. You bring in kickers in November, you're not getting Justin Tucker out here. Let's be honest.
No, I know. And everybody, people, they quickly go to Borregales. That's what they keep mentioning, that he's out there. And talk about the yips. Yeah, he may have the talent, but he's another one that developed the yips. As talented as he was, he did things that Florida State kickers do. And so that's why he's still, a free agent, overall. So that, people were asking me, who do we bring in? And I'm like, that I don't know, bro. I have no idea what the street is like with free agent kickers. I don't know what kind of shape those guys are in. At this point, boy, he's been a miracle worker trying to find people, but everybody, that whole staff, obviously, because it can't be only Chris Greer. It's got to be the entire staff. I don't know how you fix that kicker situation, dude. That's
and here's the thing is, if we're going to be honest about it, the likelihood is just as good that Sanders gets it fixed on his own, that you sign somebody off the street who comes in, and then all of a sudden you catch, what's the saying, lightning in a bottle, and you come up with a stud who goes 10 for 10 down the stretch. And then there's also some salary cap ramifications if you cut Sanders. I don't think they're terrible, but because remember, they signed him to a new contract in the 2021 offseason after he had that great year in 2020, which, looking back, he was coming off like an amazing season where he was the best kicker in the NFL in 2020. You can't blame them for protecting themselves, but he didn't have quite the length of the resume as Justin Tucker, who's done it, who's been like ridiculous for 10 years.
By the way, let me take a second here. Flip side fishing, because there's and we're blessed to have over 800 people in the chat. So all these comments will disappear quickly, and I won't see it by the time this interview is over. He goes, elite passer. He's accurate, but he's not elite. Sir, he's 71% completion percentage. 71%. That's as elite as it gets, moron. All right, we continue. Anyway, you look at
don't talk to my dad like that.
I mean, give me a break. He's not elite.
He's elite right now.
71%, bro. There's nobody in the NFL making, and he goes Hill. Did you watch Trent Sherfield, dude? Doesn't matter who you are. He's going to put it right where you need it. Doesn't matter the talent that's out there running the routes. He's going to connect with you. If you give the kid space like he has now behind that offensive line, what does he have? Just a sack or two in the last couple of weeks? Like 3 weeks?
He didn't yesterday. I think maybe one against Chicago, maybe.
Right. It's like nothing. He's clean. Yeah. Like that's if you do that with your quarterback, they'll be able to pass. And what he's doing is just absolutely elite at this point in time. That's the way you got to call him. It's 71%, dude. That's a sick ass number. Defensively, what do they do now with Agba? How does that adjust? What do you expect? Who's getting the elevation and get more playing time?
No, I don't know. I think you may be just because Agba. It's weird because Agba's kind of an edge guy, but he's listed as a defensive end. He lines up with his hand on the ground. Do you do more guys standing up and then rotate your guys inside like Wilkins, Sealer, Raekwon Davis, John Jenkins, and maybe this is where you sign maybe an interior guy, and then you do more like clear 3-4. Well, no, but maybe more rotation with more playing time all around with Phillips, Ingram, Chubb, AVG.
Van Ginkel. Maybe
Yeah.
Van Ginkel gets a little bit more now,
correct.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, and Chubb looked a lot better this week, having no London legs, and he's here for a week and didn't have to travel. He stayed home for the game and everything, so a little less wear and tear. But he looked fresher in the game. He still did all right last week, but this past week it looked like it's ramping up. Is kind of like the feeling that I was getting with Chubb, that he was getting a little bit more comfortable in the scheme. Did you see it the same way?
No, I can see that. I mean, he played fewer snaps than he did against Chicago, and he was, to me, I felt him a whole lot more than I did, and I kind of like him coming one side and having Ingram on the other side. That's a nice combo. I thought Wilkins had a really, really good game.
Is Christian Wilkins a Pro Bowler? Is he headed for the Pro Bowl?
I'd have to look at all the DTs and the interior defensive lineman in the AFC.
He's been good, man, this year.
He's been really good. The problem is there's not a whole lot of splash plays. So unless you're like you and I who watch him every week, for people voting around the country who are not necessarily Dolphin fans, and then players and coaches, I don't know that's going to be enough to carry him, but his play has been Pro Bowl level.
Have you been? Were you shocked with how well Justin Bethel's been playing?
Yes and no. I mean, the guy's he's been like a great special teams player, and he's a good athlete. So you combine the two, a little bit, but not a ton. And they may have to have him play a little bit more now if Crossing's going to be out for a while. I don't know the extent of that injury.
Well, now Ezukama, this might be the moment where the youngin starts to get a little playing time. He's had a half a season. I don't know if he's mentally ready, if he knows everything yet. But if he's ready, that might be the guy right there that gets a little elevation. You think they might they did put Braylon Sanders in, and the poor kid got shelved right away after the drop. I felt bad for him. I don't like doing that and giving up on a young guy that quickly. You know what I mean? I kind of feel bad. I'd like for him to get back out there and at least, make him feel good, catch a couple passes, and then put him aside for a little bit. He's got to sit on that one play.
He did catch a pass or two, as I recall.
You did?
For the fumble, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
At least one other catch. It
All right, what are you working on? What are you working on alldolphins.com?
Did the snap count observations. I'm finishing up the complete takeaways from the game. Mike McDaniel speaking to us in a couple of hours. We'll see what he has to say, and then whatever else pops along, and we'll be doing some coverage regardless of the bye week coming up this week.
Kicker question coming today?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, because I don't believe you asked it yesterday, so because it's not the right time to ask, unfortunately. But today's the day you got to ask. Coach, how concerned are you? Because, boy, that face he had last week, like he looked up and like, wait, he missed that shit? Like, he was shocked that he missed that. And then missing 2 extra points, he's got to be uneasy with this guy. We got to get to a point where you have to say you can't trust Jason Sanders right now. That's the sad part.
No, correct. And did they go on fourth down? Did they down? I'm trying to remember. I think no, they did go on fourth down. The 3 runs they got stuffed, which I believe was before the missed PATs. And then I think somebody brought up the idea of, well, he's lost confidence in center. That's why he's going for it. No, he's going for it because he likes going for it. And let's not forget that when the Dolphins were trailing 7-0, they had a 4th and 1 from their own 36 on their very first drive. And a hell of a lot of NFL coaches would have punted there because that's what the book says. And McDaniel was like, hell no, I'm going for it. And then first down, score a touchdown, and then there we go.
Yeah. Although I would have given it to Tua is what I would have done on 3rd and 4th downs. I would have rather lived and died with the boy than what they ended up doing. But whatever, it happens. Sometimes the smart guy outsmarts himself. What are you going to do? Nothing's going to be perfect. Couple little things in the game, the kicker, the 4th down call. the high snap by Connor Williams, big deal or whatever, bro. It's 39-17.
Won by 22. Seriously.
I know. They kicked their ass. It didn't matter. All right, what do you got on alldolphins.com again? Tell them.
You just asked me again. The snap count observations, the complete game takeaways, Mike McDaniel's recap of his comments, whatever news pops up, and then more stuff throughout the bye week.
And then follow him on Twitter at Pupart NFL and tell him that there will be a major drop-off with Teddy Bridgewater. We'll catch you later on in the week.
Just don't call me Kyrie.
You got it. There you go. All right, Kyrie Pupart with our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Pupart. For additions, home remodeling, and custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is your custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
All right. Let's see. What else do we have going on? What's the market doing? Because we had a nice, an ugly dip over the weekend. And then it started going back up again. There we go. Let's see where we at. Ethereum is at 1255 and Bitcoin hanging at 16.7. There we go. How bad are things with Solana? Boy, that whole FTX thing, man, that's going to set things back for folks in a big time way and buy us some time to collect the Bitcoin. That's the only thing that I kind of smile about it because it, to me it don't matter. I'm good. I'm good. It's not about now. It's about down the line. But it does put a lot of FUD in the whole thing. All right, so we got Alan. Joey says Allen is in full panic mode trying to convince us that any QB can do what Tua is doing. What a joke. Take that L, Pupart. I mean, we love him, but there's a major drop-off from Tua to Teddy, bro. Major drop-off. I've watched Teddy his whole career. Again, it's not a matter of taking shots at Teddy or anything. He's a great human being, dude. Super smart. As I've said it many, many times, the good Lord did not bless Bridgewater with enough talent, physical talent. That's all. And that's what he lacks. And if he had a little bit more, as I've said many times, he would be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that's Teddy Bridgewater, as I've said, is Steve Walsh, is Ken Dorsey, is Ty Detmer. He's those kind of guys that unfortunately the Lord did not bless you with enough. They gave you enough to be great in college. They didn't give you enough to be great in the NFL. They gave you enough to be, because of your mind, because Teddy, because Ken Dorsey, because Steve Walsh, because Ty Detmer, because you guys are smart quarterbacks, you're going to make it to the NFL. Some of you will survive a couple of years because your intelligence is through the charts. And if you can't see that, I can't help you. And obviously, Pupart and I will disagree on that till the end of time. And I kind of look at quarterbacks and put them in a category of who they are and what I've seen in my life. And just like I put Teddy with Ty Detmer and Steve Walsh and Ken Dorsey and those kind of cats, I put Tua with Fred Tarkenton and Bob Greasy and Drew Brees and Joe Montana. He's those kind of guys. It's how it is. You tell me Randall Cunningham, and I'll tell you Lamar Jackson, and I'll tell you Michael Vick, and I'll tell you Jalen Hurts, and I'll tell you all these guys that have to run in order to be effective because they're not good enough to beat you in the pocket. And what is a common denominator with all of those guys? None of them win a Super Bowl. So unless they're, running a Bucks 03 team or a Ravens 01 or a 16 Broncos or the 72 Dolphins or the Steel Curtain or the Doomsday Defense or the Orange Crush, unless you're talking about an incredibly special defense, the Cowboys of the mid-90s, the Buffalo Bills of the early 90s, unless you have one of those kind of defenses, that kind of quarterback is not going to win a Super Bowl. That's a category I put you in. I'm sorry. Until you prove me wrong, then I'll believe you. And that's it. But for now, that's what it is. And it's nothing personal. It's just my history of what I've watched for 40-something years in football. And I kind of see who you are, and then I compare you to what you've been. And that's it. And that's like a lot of people for the first 2 years. They think I'm freaking out of my mind, thinking that he's Greasy or Breeze or Montana or Tarkenton. But as I explain, every once in every generation, one of those guys appears. We got him. We got him for the second time. The first time was Greasy. We got him for the second time. That's it. But that's fine. Time answers all. So for 2 years, I sounded like a complete nutbag talking about Tua. Now, everything that I talked about has come to fruition. Now I don't sound so crazy. So eventually, as time goes on, if Jalen Hurts can win by running, and if Lamar Jackson can win by running, well, then they'll prove me wrong eventually. But for now, I'm always going to believe your quarterback needs to beat you from the pocket. That's the way I look at it. Big O, why do you keep nitpicking with everybody about Tua? Talk about the Dolphins, not this same narrative about Tua. Hey, Chad, don't fucking listen, bro. Do I have a gun to your head, Chad? Am I asking you to listen? Do I, bro? I'm sorry. Did I go knock at your house today? Hey, Chad, are you going to listen to the show? Please, I need you to listen to the show. I'm not asking you, my brother. And there's a rule on this show. Big rule. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to run the show. I don't need your help. I've been at it for 33 years now. I don't think at this point I need your help. Okay? I need you to support me. I need you to be there and all that. Comment on whatever you want, but I'm going to run the show however I want. You know, and for 2 years, people were hammering and burying Tua. So for 10 weeks that I'm living in heaven, I'm not going to have your sorry ass bring me down. So for those that keep thinking that Tua is just another guy or that somebody else can do what he's doing, well, then we're going to have these conversations. So what are you going to do? But I certainly did not knock on your door this morning and say, hey, tune in. I don't have a gun to your head, my man. You can tune out really quickly. He's gonna get a slight chance, Frankie. Slight chance. He's gonna get a slight one because he sounds like he might be somewhat new to the whole mix. So we'll put him on double secret probation that he doesn't know. The one rule on this show is you're not the host. Don't try to be the host. Let's get the likes up to 800 in the chat for only 200 likes. Well, that's actually, I got to tell you, John R., I am blessed to have 200 out of 800. Sean and I are lucky because that's more than 10%. What did we get? I mean, yesterday we got 1,600 likes, but out of 16,000. So 200 out of 800, that's actually pretty good. That's 25%, man. We're pretty blessed on that one. Spotlight on Ingold, devastating run blocker yesterday. And he got the touchdown also. That was good. I like the Ingold. I like the Ingold pickup, man. That was really good. I mean, yesterday's so much fun. Passing game looks great. Running game looks fantastic. The offensive line looked good. I wouldn't make a damn change. Austin Jackson, buddy, whenever you come back, you are a backup. Okay, until somebody shows some kind of breakdown, sadly an injury or they're not playing well, then I will start to get Austin Jackson in the mix. But for now, I'll keep Austin Jackson on the sidelines, get him healthy as possible. He's got a high ankle sprain, right? Let him stand there on the sidelines. Let him get healthier and healthier every week. I'm not replacing Brandon Shell and Robert Jones. So the defense did a good job yesterday overall. They're not going to be perfect. Remember, that secondary has got all these injuries. And now you lost Agba, which, I'm so tired of the Dolphins taking it's like one injury after another, man. I feel terrible for the coach and for the players because they're busting their asses. And it's almost like the football gods are against them because they keep taking players away from them. And to lose Agba, and I know he hasn't necessarily been great this year, but man, that sucks, dude. That just absolutely sucks. Let me see if I missed any super chats here. Frankie Fresco, thank you. Big O, Derek Carr upset or just emotional? No, he's an emotional player. He's an emotional player. And remember, and let's talk about that situation a little bit here. First of all, the Colts defeat the Raiders yesterday. We were all wondering what was going to happen with the Colts and their new coach, Jeff Saturday. And you got people all insulted about Jeff Saturday taking over and all that. By the way, did you see Jeff Saturday's tweet on October 30th? That's his tweet on October 30th. Raiders look horrible. Little did he know that 2 weeks later he would be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts and facing the Raiders. And so I tweeted back, Jeff was on target. He was right. So the Colts beat the Raiders 25-20. They couldn't even use Jeff Saturday's quote against him in the locker room. That's how pathetic the Raiders are. 25-20. Jeff Saturday is now 1-0 as the head coach. Matt Ryan had 222 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had 147 yards. Jonathan Taylor fans are happy because he hasn't been very good this year. Josh McDaniel drops to 2-7. And Derek Carr is headed for free agency. And Derek Carr got his best friend to go over there and sign. So if you're Derek Carr, it's emotional for you because you're watching everything fall apart. You thought maybe things would get better now. You got an offensive mind in Josh McDaniels coming in. You go and get Devontae Adams, and he's had a great year. And yet, look where you're at now. You're 2-7. Your season is over. So you're kind of emotional because you're probably leaving the Raiders, and now you're not going to play with your friend. And personally, you probably want to leave the Raiders because you've got a losing record as a Raiders quarterback. And he's a decent quarterback. He's a good quarterback. Probably needs a better atmosphere around him. And he's very emotional. I'll tell you a Derek Carr story. When he's coming out of college, he's at the Senior Bowl. And he, talk about emotional. He made me cry in an interview. And I wish I had that video of that interview. I know I probably have the audio somewhere, but back in those days, we weren't doing YouTube or anything like that. And he had, while he was in school, he was married, still married, the same woman, and their child almost died. And it was this emotional story he was telling me on how much he appreciates every day after going through that experience. And brother, he had me breaking down while he was talking about that. Like, it was just, because as a father, that's the nightmare of all nightmares, right? There's no parent wants to bury their child. No parent wants to see their child sick or anything like that. That is the most devastating thing to any of us parents. So it's the thing we want to avoid for the rest of our lives. We want to die and they stay alive. You know what I mean? The last thing we want to do is see them get gravely sick or ill or die or anything like that. That is Forget it. There's no parent that wants to live through that. And, he was telling the story emotionally about and brother, that thing had me balling. Okay. But I think he got emotional because he may have to go. So he may have to move, and you got to move your family, and you're playing with your friend from Fresno, and you thought things were going in one direction, and they've gone completely in the other direction. And do you stay with Josh McDaniels? The problem is you're a cheap organization. You just gave him a 5-year deal, probably 6-year deal. I'd have to look it up how many years they give him, but that's all guaranteed. And they've been notoriously cheap over the years. His old man was cheap, and it's not like he's Mr., throw all that money out there. So that's why I think you saw a very emotional Derek Carr, because he knows he's probably done there. By the way, the Colts have Philadelphia on Sunday at 1:00. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. EM Baller, thank you for the love in the super chat. He says Raiders head coach sucks. Herbert is not clutch. Well, we've been talking about that for a while, and we just showed you the stats between Herbert and Tua, and there is zero comparisons between the two guys. But that's all right. All the Herbert guys now, what are they talking about? Some injuries that they have now? Okay. But with Tua, they never talked about injuries, right? They never talked about no offensive line. No, it's that Tua's too short. It's not that he doesn't have an offensive line. Oh, no. It's Tua's got a noodle arm. It's not that he doesn't have a running game. Oh, no. Tua can handle tough coaching. That's why, he's got Flores, because he's such a tough coach. All those things. That's all they do with Tua. With Justin Herbert, all I'm hearing is little bitches make excuses. That's all. How about you, Justin Herbert, chain pullers? How about you just stick your tail between your legs and say, I'm wrong? Yeah, that guy hasn't shown me shit. He's got talent. Awesome talent. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Achilles Smith had awesome talent. Jamarcus Russell had awesome talent. Ryan Leaf had awesome talent. Vince Young have awesome talent. There's a lot of guys that have awesome talent. Ryan Tannehill, kid can move around. He's got a hell of an arm. Doesn't make him a great quarterback. And that's what's going on with the Justin Herbert people. It's the same Tua haters. It pains them to just say, man, I got this completely wrong. I read Tua completely wrong. And then they can't say the same thing about Herbert. Man, I read this guy wrong. And by the way, the comparisons yesterday to Phillip Rivers, I was like, exactly. A lot of points, a lot of choking. That's kind of Phillip Rivers. He was a great fantasy player. But in reality, he kind of would screw things up. There you go. Michael Gallo. Or is it Callow? Gallo or Callow? No, it can't be Callow. Callow is dead. It's Joey Gallo. I'm doing a little My Cousin Vinny for those of you there. Did anyone see the play? Jeff Wilson could have had a TD earlier in the game, and Gesicki missed his block, and Wilson was pissed and let him know it. I did not notice it. Maybe I'll try to go back and look at it, Michael. That'll be cool. I'll check it out. But again, did Gesicki turn around and say, dude, I can't block. The hell are you doing? What are you expecting me to block for you too? That's not my forte. Blame Mike. He put me to block. Tell Mike that this Mike can't block. Big O Josh Allen sucks like a little child when things don't go his way. Actually good to see. Well, I mean, we all know. I mean, you saw what happened in the last Dolphins game with the Bills. I mean, it clearly showed that Josh Allen became Tua's bitch. You guys remember that? I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. You know? I'm not sure if you guys remember it, but it's it was there. It was certainly there when Josh Allen came to, at the end of that game, he wanted a little comfort. And Tua, he just said, "Josh, everything will be all right. I just want you to know that from here on out, you're my bitch." Okay? Just want you to know that from here on out, you're my bitch. And, get ready for more temper tantrums. I'll be in Buffalo in a couple months to hand you another loss, to shut people up. So, I'm sorry about it, Josh, but, I got to do what Tua's got to do. And that's it. So, those kind of things happen, man. What are you going to do? Josh Allen now is going to have to pout a lot. Bills fans are going to have to pout a lot. Bills fans are worried about certain things going on with the team. They should be worried about the Miami Dolphins. They should go look at the standings and get used to it. Now, because that's what's going to happen from here on out. The Dolphins will be at the top of the standings. For those of you that thought it was going to take a couple years to catch up to Buffalo, well, guess what? The Dolphins have already caught up to Buffalo. And now they're passing Buffalo. They're getting put Buffalo in the rearview mirror is what's happening. So this is what we're going to have to enjoy from here on out, Buffalo. Your window came and went, Buffalo. It opened and it closed. 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Is he missing Brian Daboll? Is Ken Dorsey not doing a good enough job? Is he breaking more laptops? How many laptops did Ken Dorsey break last night? Right? I mean, there's a drop-off from Daboll to Dorsey now with Josh Allen. Pressures on Ken Dorsey now to maintain, because Daboll's winning with the other guy with the New York Giants. I don't know, Ken Dorsey. It looks like you're not getting the job done, Ken Dorsey. By the way, do you think they have Apple Care in the coach's box? And does Apple Care? Oh, wait a minute. I bet you the people on Apple yeah, we'll insure you, but not Ken Dorsey. We saw him on television. We know his laptop didn't fall. We know his laptop didn't get any coffee spilled on it accidentally. We've seen Ken Dorsey's temper. And why are you calling me after a loss? How come you don't call me with any problems with your computers after a win? Ken Dorsey. That's right. That's right. Telling you. You know what they need to do? What's the name of that computer that's like really tough? Well, I think it was called Tough Book or something, right? I think maybe it was called Tough. What's the name of that? Those are the ones they've got to buy for Ken Dorsey. I think it was called Tough Book. Something like that. Yeah, you're going to have to buy like titanium stuff for Ken Dorsey. Best part of that video, when Ken Dorsey's going batshit and breaking it, it's the coach on the far side that like glances over like, wow, this guy's really losing it. I always laugh when I see that video because I'm looking at the guy on the far end, and he's just got this quick look that's kind of funny. Carlos, I know they use Microsoft, bro. Can we have some fun here, bro? Really? Do you have to get technical, dude? I know they use Microsoft. I can tell. I'm an Apple guy. All I have is Apple, so I know they don't use Apple. We're having fun, bro. Okay? It's not about accuracy at this moment. 820 in here and only 341 likes. Come on, boys and girls. We got ladies also watching. And thank you very much, Dolphin5413, for looking out. Come on, get us over 500, man. Right now. Let's see. What do we have? In likes, 343 right now, and there's 830. Come on, guys. Let's go. Get us over 500. Por favor. Please. Please. Sorry, Big O. Some of these fans are a little wacky. Yeah. Yep. Yes, they are. Ake Omar. Valid question. Okay. You're talking. Okay. Karen says all the AFC teams predicted to be better than Miami at the beginning of the year. Colts, Chargers, Raiders, Patriots, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. Laughing my ass off. Well, Karen, that's why I never play the schedule game. And I always laugh at people that start playing the schedule game like, well, they'll win this one and they'll lose that one and they'll win this one, they'll lose that one. And nobody had really, except for me, of course. I had the Dolphins going 3-1 in the first month. Okay? I'm supposed to be wrong because you and I know that if Tua's healthy, they would have gone 4-0 and I was wrong. But I love being wrong that way. It's better? Awesome. I'll take that. But remember, they were playing the schedule game, Karen, right at the beginning of the year. Oh, yeah, no. Dolphins will be lucky to go 2-2. So the guy, this guy here, that if you listen to the show the last decades, I rarely have any confidence in the Dolphins. Yet, I'm the guy that's come out with the most confidence about the Dolphins from the get-go. It's crazy. Again, people looked at me fish-eyed. 3-1. Get out of here, bro. And I thought Buffalo would be the loss, and that was the win. They were supposed to go 4-0. Right now, the Dolphins should be worst case scenario 9-1, 10-0. You realize that? How screwed up is that, dude? By the way, Cutter's Edge Pro, we love talking about Will. In fact, I'll be hanging out with Will today at the arena at, what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. The Bang Bus Arena to watch the Miami Heat. Are they going to take the Bang Brothers offer? You think about this. If they name the arena after Bang Brothers or FTX, either way, people are getting screwed. Right? Bang Brothers or FTX. If you left your money on the FTX platform, well, you got banged, brother. I'm just saying. But anyway, I'll be at the Bang Brothers Arena to watch the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat tonight. I'll be hanging out with my man Will at Cutter's Edge Pro. And listen, if you want landscaping done the right way, it increases the value of your home. Your neighbors are going to be absolutely freaking out. I mean, my house was looking like a war zone the last couple of years, some setbacks and stuff. So now we've got the house looking studly, able to paint it, all that kind of stuff. And obviously we did the landscaping. Got to do the pavers now in the front. That's the next thing. Got to find a pavers company, but they do it all: landscaping, outdoor lighting, irrigation. And that's what I love. I can change up the lights. I can have Canes lights on Saturdays, Dolphin lights on Sundays. It's a beautiful thing. October, we can go pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In December, we can go with the Christmas lights. I love it, man. Cutter's Edge Pro. Listen, you pay for your entire home and your yard. If your backyard is just sitting there doing nothing, bring it to life. Create an oasis for yourself back there. That's what we did. We put artificial turf in the back so the dogs can have a nice, clean session back there. And at the same time, they bring no dirt, no nothing into the house because it's artificial turf. So easy to clean, super easy to maintain. Oh, here's the other thing that you're going to love about it, okay? You're not watering the grass and you're not cutting the grass. That's saving yourself a lot of money, thousands of dollars in the long term. You know you're going to save money. And at the same time, your dogs are going to love it. They put this little white sand inside the artificial turf that keeps the temperatures half the degrees that it normally would be. So it's nice and cool all the time for your doggies, and that's what matters most. So check it out. Create that oasis. Call the great folks at cuttersedgepro.com, 954-472-0622. Tell them that Big O sent you. Call William or Mike. Hey, listen, you want to fix your business? Needs to fix its landscaping, maybe your condominium complex. They handle all kinds of businesses, condominium complexes, you name it, and homes all throughout South Florida, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Call them 954-472-0622 for cuttersedgepro.com. By the way, Andy Behrens is going to join us here at noon to talk a little fantasy football. So you can start sending in your questions on the Welton Ra text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056 on the Welton Ra text line. Let's see. What's it called? Good morning, Big O. I just looked at the schedule in our AFC East. Can I ask, when the hell did the Vikings get put in our division? Does everyone realize that every team in the East plays them this year? Well, listen, man, it's just one of those things. I don't know what to tell you. Don't worry about the Vikings, dude. Just worry about the schedule that's remaining for the Miami Dolphins. You've got Houston coming up, which is a very winnable game. And what I love, and I'm not going to play the schedule game now after I told you I don't play the schedule game, but here's what I love about what's left in the Miami Dolphins season. Are you ready for me on this? And this is all you got to focus in on. The Dolphins can win any game on the schedule. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. They can beat the Bills in Buffalo. The Chargers and the Niners. I'm not saying those are easy wins and they're done or whatever, but they don't scare me at all. Garoppolo and Herbert do not scare me at all. And I hope he has Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back for those games. They still don't scare me at all. Again, I'm not saying they're going to go out and beat Houston, San Francisco, the Chargers, Buffalo, Green Bay, New England, and the Jets. Well, they definitely will beat the Jets in New England. That I can tell you they will definitely win those games. They're better than those teams. The Jets are frauds. They got a nice defense and all that, but they're not winning with that offense, and they can't keep playing backup quarterbacks. So they just keep getting breaks and breaks and breaks. They'll probably lose. They might lose again this week because they're playing the Patriots, which they lost to a couple of weeks ago. But that's the beauty of what's left. The view that people had with the Dolphins in the preseason. Oh my God, those first 4 games. It's going to be torture for them. How do they get through that gauntlet? And they easily could have gone 4-0 if Tua didn't get hurt in that Bengals game. So they went through that gauntlet. Now, when you start looking after the bye week, you got Houston. That's not looked at as a challenge. But at San Fran, the Chargers, and at Buffalo, those 3 road games, and then home against Green Bay, that's a hell of a 4-game stretch. But now that you've watched this team go 7-3, and you know what you didn't know in August and in July, you're no longer looking at it like you did in September. Except for me, of course, because I'm the nutbag that said they would go 3-1 in the first month. But most people that aren't crazy like me thought that it was going to be they thought if the Dolphins can go 2-2, that would be exceptional. That's what Dolphin fans on average were hoping for. A split, and hey, man, that's good. That sets us up. We can keep going. 3-1, are you kidding me? And they easily could have been 4-0. I mean, listen, they've only lost because Tua isn't there. They could be 9-1 or they could be 10-0. So that's the beauty of the second half of the season. The Dolphins now, you're looking at them completely different now. Instead of it becoming this incredible challenge, now it's something that they can accomplish. And guess what? The opponent is now looking at it going, holy shit, how do we stop that offense? All right, let's get ready. Send in those fantasy questions right now on the YouTube chat board. Andy Behrens is ready on the Welton Ra text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. Let's start it, baby. Hour number 3 coming up with the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports, Andy Behrens.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Sloman's, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill, Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports, Andy Behrens. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Andy Behrens.
There he is, ready to rock and roll. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Big O, I'm good. I got the ideal Bears game once again, in which Justin Fields plays very well, and they don't win. So preserving draft positions is perfect. It was a perfect weekend for me. Thank you. I hope you're doing well.
Yes. Although I just had this conversation with Alan Pupart, and the listeners. What still will stand through the test of time for me is whether you're Randall Cunningham, whether you're Michael Vick, whether you're Lamar Jackson, whether you're Hurts or Fields, you better learn to be Russell Wilson. You better learn to beat people from the pocket. You can run and you can be Cam Newton and maybe you get lucky and get to a Super Bowl, but you're not winning a Super Bowl. None of them have won a Super Bowl until they learn to beat people from the pocket. And you just don't want to kill yourself, keep running and running, because you're going to put yourself at injury risk, unfortunately, because you can only take so many hits. And, Ben Roethlisberger took a lot of hits, but he took a lot of hits while he was buying time in the pocket to beat you. And that, to me, is what all of these running quarterbacks have to learn. You better learn to be Russell Wilson, because that's the only way you're going to celebrate a title. And I love what Justin Fields is all about, but if you're going to use running as the anchor of the way you play the game, I don't think you end up being ultimately successful for your team overall.
You know what the nice thing with Justin Fields is that he's still very early in the developmental arc. So I do see a lot of people on Twitter just declaring that this version of Justin Fields is what we're getting. But if you felt that way about Jalen Hurts last year, you're just wrong, right? Like he didn't pass the ball well last year. He's much better this season.
And still not enough.
You pair someone like Fields. Well, they haven't lost. I mean, say what you will, they haven't lost, and obviously there hasn't been a Super Bowl for him to get to yet, so it may yet happen. We'll see. Like if you're able to actually pair like a true alpha wide receiver with Justin Fields again as he's still developing, but we'll see. I mean, Cam got pretty far. Cam got to a Super Bowl and won an MVP. So I don't think it's I don't think it's out of. Plus, you don't want to be this version of Russell Wilson, right? Like the peak version of Russell Wilson could run for 60 yards against anybody, and the run was always a threat, and you had to account for him as at least a rushing weapon. Of course, he was able to, especially with the deep ball, he was able to do some great things. But this current version of Russell Wilson, who won't run and who seems to want to establish himself as a pocket passer, has just been dreadful. So, I hear you. When he's 30, this might catch up with him, but I'm not really thinking about when he's 30 right now. I'm thinking about the next, I'm thinking about this contract and the next one.
He won't get to 30. He won't get to 30 playing this way. He won't get to 30. That's the problem. He'll be broken down by then. He has to learn to
say that he takes bigger hits than Lamar does. Justin Fields
he's not faster than Lamar. Lamar's hard to catch.
Lamar has a great sense for like avoiding the big hit, and Justin Fields has this little voice inside his head clearly that says, I can lay the wood to this guy, right? Like he injured a guy on that first touchdown run against this past week. But that's a terrible instinct, obviously, right? Like I think Lamar is kind of built to last in this style in a way that I'm occasionally afraid Justin Fields isn't, because he seems to like to deliver too many hits.
Yeah, you're right about that. Lamar does have the Warwick Dunn, Barry Sanders quality, that they're so quick and so good laterally that they know how to avoid hits. You rarely ever got a clean hit on Barry. You rarely ever got a clean hit on Warwick Dunn. And he does have that gift. By the way, Russell Wilson has had that gift for a while too, that you really wouldn't get clean hits on him. Marvin Harrison did it a different way. You never got clean hits on Marvin Harrison because he was quick to just sit down, slide, step right out of bounds.
Yep. He was going to the turf where he was stepping out of bounds. Yeah.
Right. And he had a Hall of Fame career because his ass was super smart. He was like, no, dude, I ain't taking, no, I'm not taking hits. I'm going to catch the ball, move the chains, and I'm going to sit down right away. And I thought that was, that was genius on his part.
Yeah.
The game's brutal enough as it is. Don't take the hits. To me, I'm a big Justin Fields fan. I like Justin Fields because I think as a passer, he has more hope than Lamar. I don't give Lamar any hope as a passer. To me, this is who he is. This is who he's always going to be. Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete, and the legs will carry him for so long, but he can't beat you with his arm, and he proves it on a consistent basis. And when you talk about a number one wide receiver, well, you got to throw it to those guys because they're divas. And if you're going to become a running offense and the quarterback and the running backs are getting most of the action and the receivers aren't that involved, number one receivers don't want to be a part of those kind of offenses. So you're not going to get those free agents to sign with you. You're going to have to either trade for them or draft them in order to corral them into your system. Look at Hollywood Brown. He's not even an elite receiver. And he was like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm a part of this offense. Of course not, kid, because all they do is run there. They barely throw. And so then that's the catch-22. But Justin is a guy that I give him hope to become a passer. And I'm with you that it's still way too early in the process. We got to wait a couple of years to see how he evolves as a passer.
He's so much better than his receivers right now. Like he was
right, but he didn't get to this league like Burrow and Tua, that they're already accomplished passers in the way that they watch the game, they view the game and the field. He's not at that level, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I also think that's true of the primary pocket passers in his same quarterback class, right? Like I don't think Trevor Lawrence is all that much more advanced than Justin Fields. He has a huge arm. He probably uses his legs not enough, right? Like it was a strength of his in college. You'd see flashes with Lawrence, but not the consistency. Fields for me, not that we need to turn this whole conversation into Justin Fields, but he is. He also still has that thing where he tries to hit big plays all the time. And that definitely worked at Ohio State. And sometimes in the NFL, you just gotta get 8 yards. Like there's not a home run there on absolutely every throw.
No, I'm with you. I mean, that's the thing with Tua at times where he would like do anything to make the play. And it's like, yo, dude, slide, get the hell out, throw the ball away. Don't kill yourself on every freaking play. But and Justin Fields is like that too. He kills himself on every play, man. I'm a big fan of his. That Clemson game just like it sealed it for me. I was like, okay,
that hero stuff. Yeah,
he has it. He has it. Now he has to learn how to be a passer. And if he does that, then that's some scary shit down the line. That's where it's going to get scary. Yeah, by the way, speaking of scary, how scary is our boy down here?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's a Death Star offense at this point, right? Like it's without question an elite offense. It's crazy, by the way. I know we talked about him last week, but it's crazy that Jeff Wilson has stepped in and now seems to have leapfrogged Mostert, at least to some extent. It's kind of exciting.
Automatic flex. Yeah, automatic flex now, right?
Yeah, he's probably going to be a little higher than that. He's probably,
okay.
we still got buys coming. We got injuries coming.
Yeah,
I think we're going to look at Jeff Wilson as an RB2, and we're probably going to look at Mostert as a flex because Mostert is still playable as well. It's not like he's, it's not like it's just a single featured running back. And this is probably the highest and best use of Mostert too, right? You want him, you don't necessarily want to grind that guy down with 25 touch games. So it's a thrilling offense when everybody's healthy. And there's, just this pairing of Waddle and Hill. We just don't. I don't know. I can't. Maybe there was some Raiders team that paired receivers that were this fast together, but it's extremely rare in NFL history.
I was almost seeing. I wonder if Trent Sherfield becomes a flex now down the line.
Yeah, that was a really exciting game, and he's had pretty steady usage too. So again, if you're like these guys who are sort of supporting receivers and backs in offenses that can score 35 against anybody, sure, yeah, all those guys are on the flex radar. It's why we talk about Chiefs so often in pickups columns, right? Even when they're, even when some of these guys are only playing like half the snaps and maybe they're only seeing 4 or 5 targets, but they're Mahomes targets, and the Chiefs are averaging like 34 a game. So sure, like all those guys are flexes. Every damn Chiefs receiver is a flex, and it's getting that way with Miami as well.
All right, start sending in the fantasy football questions. If you have them, put them up here on the YouTube chat board. And, of course, a lot easier on the Welton Ra text line because that way I can see them right there at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. I'm in big trouble this week. I lost Kupp and Juju, and I have Waddle on a bye. Who's a good option at wide receiver on the wire? Wow.
This is brutal. Hopefully Kupp is able to return. Hopefully Juju is able to return, but obviously concussion protocols and this season being what it is, I guess I'd be a little bit surprised if he's able to make it back to the field because he got rocked. It looked a little bit like the Tua situation initially, right? Where he was just sort of motionless for a little while. So anyway, it was a terrible situation with Juju. I hope he gets back quickly. The nice thing here for this manager is that it's a pretty good week on the waiver wire. It's a pretty good week at all positions. A bunch of young running backs popped, and obviously we have receivers that pop every week. Christian Watson gave you the full Christian Watson experience, I think, in week 10, right? He had a couple of drops early, had a miscommunication with Rodgers, but also caught 3 touchdown passes. He's a stupid athlete, like even by NFL standard. We're talking about somebody with 4.3 speed. He's huge. He's like 6'5". He's a jumper. Just doesn't know where to go, and his hands don't always work properly, right? But he's man, what a perfect replacement for Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because he does all the same things in kind of the same package as a player. And you just saw you just saw the high end for him. You just saw the potential ceiling. So given the Packers receiving core and their total lack of talent there, I think you have to consider Christian Watson an interesting add. He's available in over 90% of leagues right now because he hasn't been able to stay healthy all year. Both of the Chargers receivers who are running out there right now ahead of, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams hurt, DeAndre Carter and Josh Palmer are both interesting. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is pretty interesting. He's about 40% rostered right now. Again, it's the Chiefs. He's actually out snapping every other Chiefs receiver.
Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, Tony's actually rostered in over 50% of leagues, and
that means he's still available. I mean, if
he's still available, he's just not as available as some of the other guys that we're talking about here. And he really, like, as soon as that trade went down, almost every competitive league, Kadarius Toney got snatched up, which honestly to me was a little bit curious. I really thought that he was a big beneficiary of the fact that McCole Hardman didn't play this past week, because he basically did all the McCole Hardman stuff. He still didn't play a ton. He did find the end zone. He's a really fun player. But I feel like it was more him stepping into the workload that would have gone to Hardman. So we'll see. We'll see if Hardman's able to make it back. He didn't practice at all last week. So if he does, I think that's a pretty big hit to Toney.
I guess we have somebody new to fantasy. He's asking, what is a flex receiver? Sir, that's a person that has sex with anybody. They're very flexible. Joey Vasquez is asking, I'm trying to trade Herbert and Pierce for Dak Prescott. I already have Jeff Wilson and Ken Walker. Is that good or giving up too much?
No, you're not giving Pierce, Damian Pierce. No, we're not doing that. We're not. Damian Pierce is your second best running back. I mean, I'd roll with Pierce and Walker. Rest of Walker's got a bye coming up. What are we doing here? Right. You're not even trading for, like, be one thing if you're trading for like Tua or Mahomes or somebody who's like just lighting it up every week. You're not even doing that. Like, no, this is a terrible trade.
Yeah, and you're trading for an injury-prone player.
Yeah, this is wild.
That's the other thing. I don't trust Dak Prescott to. Do you trust Dak Prescott to stay healthy? I don't. There's no way that I would trust Dak Prescott to stay healthy. That just is crazy. Daddy Dean is asking, should I trade Kupp now to get two very good value players?
Well, I don't know who the very good value players are. I wouldn't say that it's unthinkable. I mean, you might very well be like I don't know, if you're a 5-5 team right now and you got to get this week's win and you're not sure Kupp is going to be able to go. I can't say that I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade him for, like, the one thing that you never want to do in fantasy, you never want to trade, like, a 20 for 2 5s, right? Like, you don't just want to collect some guys that will help you fill in for bye weeks and just take a staggering loss on a trade. He's still Cooper Kupp. When healthy, he's still a top 3 fantasy receiver, no question about it. So I wouldn't just give him away. But sure, I mean, he's, if he can't help you this week and you need this week's win, then he is certainly a trade chip.
Is there a tight end? Because it's been kind of tough with tight ends. Is there somebody out there that's...
Yeah, it's a great week for tight ends too. Foster Moreau caught a touchdown. He's going to get a little run now with Darren Waller on IR. So that's at least like 3 more weeks of, it's the Raiders. The Raiders aren't that exciting, but Moreau did catch a touchdown pass, and he's popped before when Darren Waller hasn't been out there. Isaiah Likely's coming back from bye, and even with Mark Andrews presumably returning for Baltimore, they need receivers, because remember, they lost Bateman. Demarcus Robinson is dealing with an injury. Andrews playing through injury, right? So Isaiah Likely has scored touchdowns in each of his last 2 games. He's going to be a thing. He's pretty interesting. Trey McBride might become, like, if you're in a really deep league. Zach Ertz just suffered a knee injury. He's probably going to be out for multiple weeks. Trey McBride was a great college player as a 2nd-round pick for Arizona. It was a weird landing spot for him because they already had Ertz, but now he's got to play. And so I think he might get interesting.
Does Christian Watson start getting any role in Green Bay finally?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it. He just had 3 touchdowns, right? And it was a total...
Do you expect, is that a flash in the pan, or is that...
Sure, it's a flash in the pan. Like, nobody settles in as a guy who scores 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he could turn back into a pumpkin next week, because he's only occasionally where Aaron Rodgers expects him to be, and he's had some notable drops this season. So yeah, I think of him as a Valdez Scantling type player, with perhaps even a little bit more athleticism. but he's also, he's a rookie and he's still developing. So there's a level of upside there and a level of promise there that, is maybe not present any longer with guys like, who are his comps, like Chase Claypool and MVS, guys like that who are more well established. So I think it was notable that early in that game, Watson had, key drop, and Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers come right over to him and they're like, hey, keep your head in the game. We're going to keep working you. And then they sure did, right? 3 touchdowns later, it was a breakout performance. So I don't think he's going to have, that could have been the best game of his career for all we know, right? 3 touchdowns doesn't happen very often, but he's going to score more this season and they need him. They have no choice. They have no healthy, competent receivers out there. So they've got to make do with what they have.
All right, where are we at with Odell Beckham? What are you telling people?
Not to get, I actually think that Odell Beckham is, you've got trade deadlines coming up in fantasy leagues. I think he's a great sort of trade sweetener. I'm going to be really surprised if he just plugs in somewhere and gets a lot of run in December. There's a reason that he is being linked to all these playoff teams, right? They want him in January. They want a fully operational Odell Beckham in when they can't lose in the can't lose weeks in January. I think they're going to use December to make sure that he's healthy, make sure that he knows the playbook, and it sort of gets his feet under him, and then I think they're really going to roll him out when your fantasy season is over. That's what, just the timing of the injury, Super Bowl last year, it's just really hard to imagine that he's going to be 100% when he actually does sign with a team.
Chad says he wants to get ahead of the Arizona bye week, so I picked up Evan Ingram. Would he be a reliable tight end as Ertz is out?
Yeah, he's fine. He's been dealing with a little bit of a back injury lately. He was a little bit better early in the season. He was seeing a lot of volume early in the season, but I think he's a good enough player. We just got a lot of guys out there right now. Juwan Johnson of the Saints is another. He scored 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. There are all of a sudden tight end options out there who are actually finding the end zone and producing. I think Ingram's fine. I would probably prefer the guys that I mentioned earlier, Moreau, Johnson, definitely another one. But yeah, there's options out there now.
All right, Andy, I'm 4-6 in the season. It's salvageable with Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, and Leonard Fournette and Ricard White, all on bye weeks. Only do what I got left is Kareem Hunt. Okay, I guess what you're saying is you got all those guys off, and all you have is Kareem Hunt. So I guess he's trying. I guess the question is he's trying to find another running back.
Yeah, well, a whole bunch of running backs popped this past week. Isaiah Pacheco is only rostered in about 24% of Yahoo leagues, and the Chiefs finally whittled their backfield down to 2 guys. It was just Jerick McKinnon and Pacheco instead of, Edwards-Helaire was barely a rumor this past week. I think he only played 4 snaps. He was barely on the field. So Pacheco gets really interesting. Gus Edwards is coming back from injury at a hamstring thing. They get to face Carolina. Edwards is going to step right in to he's at least in a job share with Kenyon Drake. So he's going to be really fun. Baltimore loves him. So there's options out there. Jaylen Warren just had a day, over 70 scrimmage yards, and is kind of carving out a receiving role for Pittsburgh. So you do have options. It's tough. This is a lot of buys hitting at once, but you're still in a pretty good situation, I should mention, with Rachaad White and Ken Walker on the team. That's not a bad way to go into the following week.
With Kupp out, Higbee is going to be a nice tight end.
Maybe. He finally saw some volume again this past week. Yeah, finally saw some volume again this past week. The problem is there's nobody who does Cooper Kupp is kind of one of one, especially for that team, right? So there are definitely more targets to go around. I would be shocked if that team is able to sustain drives in the same way. To some extent, you lose Cooper Kupp and the ceiling for that offense, which already was pretty low, gets even lower. So I can't say that there's one guy that I'm super excited for, given the prospect of Cooper Kupp missing time. But Higbee has been relatively reliable throughout this. I mean, at least in terms of targets and catches, he'd been pretty reliable early in the season. So some of that has come back. So that's good to see.
All right, what do you got going on Yahoo this week so folks can get ready for their stretch run, my brother?
Yeah, today we're talking waiver wire on the Yahoo Fantasy Forecast. That's our podcast. You can get it 5 days a week. This is a big waiver wire week, right? We got bye weeks, we got injuries, we got all kinds of stuff going on, and we have a bunch of guys who really popped. We have multiple situations out there right now where I think it's just like shove all your chips into the middle of the table for these guys. So we're going to be breaking that down.
And follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. Andy, as always, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you immensely.
Thanks, brother. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. There you go, Andy Behrens. And don't forget, when we talk about Sports Grill, they've got it going on, baby, during college and NFL games. $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles during the game. So tonight, Monday Night Football, you can enjoy it. New cocktails. They've got the cherry lemonade, the tailgate tea. They've got $12 domestic pitchers, the bone-in wings. Oh, those special grilled are so awesome. 15% off. They've got the buttermilk chicken sandwich, and the Doral location is coming soon. And today is Monday. The Kendall location has got those milkshakes, which are absolutely delicious, and the rock and roll playing all night long. Today is Monday. $7 single smash burger. You know, the Dolphins yesterday smashed the Browns. You can get a smash burger, delicious, at Sports Grill for only $7. There you go. Sports Grill, baby. This is your Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Andy Behrens. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens.
There you go. All right. Somebody sends me in the second half yesterday, Herbert was 7 of 14 for 35 yards and an interception. He had 2.5 yards per attempt. Yeah, and the Justin Herbert lovers are all out there still, huh? And they're all like none of them will fall on the sword. Nah, he's God. Yeah, sure. That one. Do you know that Justin Herbert loses more games than Tua misses? Why don't you simmer on that one? Why don't you sit on that one? Why don't you suck on that one? Yeah, Justin Herbert loses more games than Tua misses. How do you like that stat? He's got 4 losses on the season, and Tua has missed really 2.5 games, but we'll go with 3. Okay, we'll make the whole Bengals game just to make Goldilocks look a little better. That he's only behind 1. So for those of you out there, remember, oh bro, he's always injured, this, that. It doesn't matter, dude. Tua can miss games and win more than Justin Herbert because Tua has always, even when Herbert had better talent for the first 2 years, better coaching, better talent, better offensive line, better running game, better receivers. He had everything better. Tua still won and had a better higher winning percentage than Justin Herbert. Let's get that straight now. Okay? But this season, that Tua missed 3 games, 2.5. Justin Herbert's already 5-4. He's 5-4 on the season. Tua is 7-0. Okay? That's the difference. Justin Herbert's already lost 4 games. Tua hasn't even lost 1. Pretty amazing stuff. So when you talk to your Justin Herbert lovers that kept pulling that chain and thinking he's the second coming, boy, you're looking really foolish right now because he's not the second coming. You know what he looks like? He looks like the second coming of Jeff George. He looks like the second coming of Phillip Rivers. Okay? That's what he looks like. He certainly doesn't look like Tua. You can bet your ass on that because Tua's outplaying him by miles. Miles and miles and miles. Justin Herbert. What a joke. Bills lose to the Vikings, 33-30. Josh Allen, 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Missing Brian Dable. I like that. I wonder if tomorrow we're going to hear about kickers visiting the Miami Dolphins facility and coming in for a workout. I hope so, at least. Ogba injury. That sucks. It's just, can the Dolphins get, they're 7-3 with all this adversity. That's what makes this season even more impressive. If they could stay healthy, my God, how good would this team be? If Byron Jones played right from the get-go and all the DBs were healthy, how deep would that secondary be? How good would they be? How much more sacks would they have if they had a secondary that could shut people down a little bit more? No breaks this year whatsoever for the Miami Dolphins, and they find themselves 7-3. It's pretty amazing. Let's see. Big O, Caroline O'Connor was promoted to president of business with Kim Eng, and Seattle's Katie Griggs, only teams with women as team presidents, baseball history. That's nice. It doesn't mean anything here if you don't win, bro. It's nice, but she's got to get the job done, and Sherman's got to open up the checkbook. Okay? And if her suggestion was those two free agents, well, she didn't start off on the right foot. Okay, put it this way. So far, if those were her calls, she does not deserve the job until proven otherwise. So I hope she does a better job from here on out with some of the other free agents whenever they do get them. It's nice to be fair and give everybody an equal opportunity at bettering themselves, but let's not do it at the expense of it being some kind of a novelty or some kind of a PR move or something like that. So Kim Eng got the job. Now Kim Eng has to prove that she deserves that job. And I don't know for a fact, but if Soler and Avisail Garcia were her choices, she did a terrible job in free agency. Okay? Absolutely horrible. Let's make sure you deserve, the job. Ernesto, thank you. Ulavarro, my man sent me Bitcoin. I love it. Thank you, sir. That's my favorite donation to the program when they send us Bitcoin. Yeah, baby. Love it. Thank you very much, man. Very kind of you. Very kind. Did you put a message in it? Let me see, because I don't know see if I see a message in it. Nope, no message. But thank you, Ernesto. Very nice of you, my man. Appreciate it. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. And on Cash App, you can actually send some Bitcoin, which is actually really cool. They both have issues, and Herbert will underperform as well, just like Jeff did. Juice F5, thank you for the love on the super chat. Sanders cost us a game if we don't get a backup. Oh, I think you mean Sanders will cost us a game if we don't get a. Well, Juice F5, no backup. It's either you get to replace him You're not going to carry 2 kickers. That's not going to happen. So this week, you could bring in a young guy that didn't get drafted and put him on the practice squad and then try to develop him if you can't find a veteran that's been there and done it. And I know all of you go with the lazy thing of Borregales. And I get it, he's out there. But why is he still out there? Teams have needed kickers, and he has not proven to be great at the NFL level. That's why he's out of work. In fact, what was Borregales' stats? Let me see. Let me see what we got here with Borregales. Jose Borregales, right? That's the kicker. Where you at? How come they don't even have any stats for his ass? They don't want to show his stats, or what's the deal? Let me see. I went to Pro Football Reference, and it doesn't have anything. All right. Well, anyways. Olindo Mare, yeah, let's go. Get Olindo Mare in, baby. Big and Wide, Jason Sanders has skills in him, so maybe he should see a sports psychologist. Maybe he has already, and we don't know about it. I have no idea. He is talented, but if you've watched this long enough, kickers lose it, man, and you don't know when they're going to get it back. You got the stats for me?
Borregales went 1 for 3 during the preseason and was cut by the Buccaneers, never made the regular season roster. That's why he has no stats. And he was out on the practice squad the year before.
Okay. There you go. 1 of 3 in the preseason. So, yeah. Didn't he play the year before that or the year before that or something?
He was on the Buccaneers practice squad.
That's it?
No year. 2021, he spent the entire season on the practice squad. Wow. And he could be again in 2022 if he clears waivers.
Okay. So, in other words, he must have sucked. Because you're on the practice squad. You're kicking every day in practice. And then you get to the preseason, you go 1 of 3, and they cut you. Yeah, I don't think Borregales is the guy. I get it. That's the only thing you guys know. The ones that throw out Borregales, it's not like you really know who's out there. You just know that name. But, yeah, it doesn't look like nobody signs him. So, yeah, it's not like they've missed out on something. And, listen, Sanders was a great kicker for a very short time, and then now he's lost it. Borregales has never been a great kicker in the NFL. And that's the difference right there. So, yeah. Unfortunately, not the guy, but we'll see. You could bring him on and put him, like I said, get a young guy, put him on the practice squad, and then work with him every week. And if Sanders continues to struggle, now at least. But I think you have to try to put somebody on the practice squad. You have to protect yourself for the rest of the season, just in case things get worse with Jason Sanders. And I know that you might make Sanders a little nervous if you sign somebody, but if he's nervous, then he's not your guy as it is. Move on. That's all. You can't miss 2 extra points. Are you kidding me, dude? Yeah. So, kicking an extra point used to be the most basic thing, Dougie. Remember, that's when it was close. It's not a close one either, but it is in the 30-yard range, so you should make it. What is the extra point? Like 27, 30 yards, 31 yards or something? I forgot what the hell it is. But it is very makeable. You are correct. Any USFL kickers? Kevin, I don't know. I have no idea. I'd lie to you to tell you that I knew who's out there and who are they, what shape they're in, mentally, physically. I have no idea. That's not my job. I certainly am not going to follow kickers or punters. That's for sure. Yes, sir.
33 yards.
33 yards. See? So it's very makeable. Would you bring Odell? No. Why would I bring Odell in, Darren? They don't need Odell Beckham. No, I don't want anything disruptive going on with the team. I don't want that idiot part of this team. Rams were just lucky. It fell into place with them last year and overall, but I want nothing to do with Odell Beckham. Okay? I don't care for that guy at all. He's not a team guy or anything. Yeah, he's talented and he's very often injured, but Miami doesn't need a receiver. They need a strong safety. They need a defensive what's it called, a defensive end maybe for depth purposes. There are things that they can go, a kicker. There are things that we could legitimately talk about that, hey, you could go out and try to get those. Receiver, with the way Trent Sherfield is playing, and he knows his role and he's really happy with it, and eventually, hopefully, you'll get Craycraft back. I'm fine with the receiving core that you have. You've got Cedric Wilson as a luxury, and then you've got Eric Ezukama, who I love what I saw from the preseason. I don't think you bring a disruptive person like Odell Beckham into this locker room. I don't want a me guy in this locker room. And right now, and receivers are very me, and you're not getting that from Tyreek and Waddle. So, yeah. OBJ can go and chill with the Justin Biebers, bro. Keep them away from us. I'm with you, Cap for life. I'm with you. What is the fascination with fans wanting Odell? I have no idea why they would want that loser. I have no idea why people would want that guy on your team. Juice F5, sign Young Hoku or Matt Gay. Isn't Young Hoku still, he's working, isn't he? I think the Ho is working. I don't know about the other guy, Juice F5. You may have too much time on your hands to even know. Maybe I could have sworn I saw Young Hoku, or was he filling in for somebody when I saw him? I want to say a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I forgot what team is he on.
He's on the Falcons.
Is he still with the Chargers? Falcons. That's it. He's still on the Falcons, yes. So, yeah, that's what it is. I know I saw him somewhere. Okay. What else do we have here on the program? And then Dolphin Dumpy says, I wouldn't mind a Young Ho. Well, I mean, hey, man, listen, nothing wrong, having a younger Ho around. I got you. With Ingram taking Ogba snaps might be an upgrade if you got Ingram, Phillips, and Chubbs on the field together. Well, Lofi, yes and no. Remember, Ingram is in his mid-30s. You can't give him that many snaps, so you're going to have to rotate with him still. So he won't be able to play nearly as much as Ogba. So I get you're using him, but you can't use him the same way. You're still going to need some more rotation. And Gay is with the Rams, says Dolphin Don. So apparently you picked two kickers that are employed. Alf Artiaga says Jason Sanders was great in 20. Then Parladay was a poor holder. And now Morstead uses gloves. Got to try something. Have Morstead take off the gloves to hold. Well, but then maybe that's the way Morstead feels comfortable catching the ball. That's a problem. Maybe, just maybe, he's a sweaty palms guy, Alf. You ever met those people? You shake hands with them all the time, and every time their palm is sweaty, and you're like, wow, that's gross. And you're like talking to the guy, and and you hope he looks one way, and you rub your hand on your thigh because you're drying it out. I think we're on to something here, Alf. I think Morstead is a sweaty palms guy. Does he use, now I got to think about this. Does he use the gloves for punting also? I forgot now. Now I didn't even remember that. And Alf says, I hate sweaty palm people. They're creepy, right? Aren't they? It's kind of, and sorry for all of you out there that may have sweaty palms. You're probably not creepy, but it is kind of like, it's like the dude that gets out of the bathroom and just shakes your hand. And you're like, yo, bro, you didn't dry your hand? Like, well, I'm sorry, my hand's wet. Oh, yeah, okay. That's the only time you can, like, clean it on your pants right in front of him because, he knows his hand is wet. And then he shook your hand when, come on, folks. If you're walking out of the bathroom, don't go shaking hands with somebody after you just wash your hands. If they're still wet, don't do that. And for sweaty palms people, Johnson & Johnson baby powder in your pockets. That way, when you're about to shake hands, you stick your hand in your pocket, you dry it up with a little, and then you shake hands. Yeah, Sean.
Morstead is a one-glove wearer. He wears it on his left hand only. In games, practices, everything. I'm looking at all the images. He wears it only on the left hand.
So there you go. There's your answer, Alf. He's got one sweaty palm. That must be a mental thing that, those gloves have that serious stickum. I don't know. Victor Huerta says, I'm a sweaty palms guy, and he's laughing. All right, Vic, when I see you, fist pump. Oh, Lordy. That's right. That's the other thing. Sweaty palm people, fist pump. No handshakes. Fist pump. That's it. No shaky the hand, baby. Fist pump. Is Sweaty Palms a resort in Florida? Sounds like it should exist. Yes. Yes, and Sam Bankman-Fried looks like he's the CEO of that too. Is Ether, Blankenship, or Bagley, as far as kickers with experience goes, the best options available? I'm going to agree with Big O. It has to be a UDFA on the practice squad. Carlos, brother, I cannot get into kicker talk with you guys. I don't follow it enough. I don't know enough about it. You know what? I'm going to trust the dudes in the front office that find Brandon Shell and Robert Jones and Bethel and, Nick Needham and Trill Williams and Cater Kohu. And I'll stick with all those guys that are finding, all kinds of players all over the place. I'll stick with them that they can find a kicker. Okay. Whatever they say, I can finally say for the Miami Dolphins what I couldn't say with Jeff Ireland, with Rick Spielman, with Nick Saban, with Jimmy Johnson, with who else? Mike Tannenbaum. Oh my God, yes. I trust the front office. And by the way, I didn't trust it with Jimmy. Just so you'll know, just in case some of you, what do you mean Jimmy Johnson? He only did good on defense. He sucked on offense. Larry Shannon was going to be as good as Randy Moss. He takes Jonathan Avery, John Dutton, trades for Jim Druckenmiller, whatever. It just, he did so many stupid, Jarris McFailure at running back. So many things. He was so bad on offense. So I could trust him to a certain extent for some things. I could not trust him for everything else. Trading away Irving Fryer. And it's endless the amount of stupidity that Jimmy Johnson, displayed on offense. So let's get that shit straight. And so I haven't had a GM I can trust in forever. Hell, I couldn't trust the back end of Shula's career. Let's be honest now. We love the old man. Rest in peace. You are the God. You and Pat Riley are the gods of this town. You'll always be. I get it. But, it was terrible managing down the stretch for Shula. Got to call it like we see it. This is the first time in 30 years that I trust the guys in the front office. So whatever they want to get at kicker, more power to you, fellas. Whatever you think is best, we'll go. We'll roll with it. That's fine. Nobody's perfect, but I can live and die with you guys. I dated a girl with sweaty palms, came in handy. Oh man, that was just too much. But thank you for the super chat. That was worth it. That was good. That was good. Where is Big O show broadcasting from during Finn's games? Studio, sir. We are still searching. Well, I'm actually not even searching anymore because we're in the second half of the season, so I'm not even bothering anymore to find a home. I think we may have a home already for next year, to be quite honest. I think it's going to happen. So, but whatever. So we're good. So we're working on it. And so I'm not really trying. Well, EJD Construction is our title sponsor for In Studio. We're at Walk-Ons for the next 2 weeks for the Canes games. So come on over and join us at Walk-Ons in Kendall for the 3:30 game this week against Clemson. And then next week, wrapping it up with Pittsburgh, we'll be out for those 2 games. So come on over and join us, man. Should be fun. And we got a lot of prizes, a lot of giveaways. 3 University of football players were just killed in a shooting. Oh, get out of here. Are you serious? That is just terrible. Let me see. I'm sure I probably have it somewhere in this news feed. Let me see. Trying to find it, but I don't see it yet. Doesn't mean it's not there. It's just maybe I have not crossed over it yet. But wow, that's here it is. A suspected shooter who killed 3 students and wounded 2 in a Virginia university has been captured on Monday morning. Police have reported Christopher Jones Jr., 22, was taken into custody off campus after the student and former football player killed at least 3 students at the University of Virginia. UAV Police Chief Tim Longo said a motive for the shooting is still unknown. The shooting took place on Sunday around 10:30 p.m. Eastern in a parking garage on campus after students had returned from seeing a play in Washington, D.C. for a class, said university officials. All three victims were members of the UVA football team. University President Jim Ryan, the victims have been identified as Devin Chandler, Lavelle Davis Jr., and Deshaun Perry. Chandler and Davis Jr. were both juniors, and Perry was a senior student. 2 other unnamed students were injured during the attack, with 1 in critical condition. This is unimaginable, sad day for our community. The entire university community is grieving this morning. My heart is broken for the victims and their families and for all of those who knew and loved them, and they are all in my prayers. And I've said this before, when I see our students, I see my own kids, and I cannot imagine anything worse for a parent than losing a child. My God, we were just talking about this earlier in the show. Oh, wow. One day we will make the gun laws the way they're supposed to be in this country. Okay, it's not about I have my own arms, and I am all for the right to bear arms. What I am not for is our weak ass laws. That's what's going on. Okay, as I've told you before, if you get caught with a stolen gun without even committing a crime, you should get 15 years in jail. So simple. You're with a gun that isn't yours, 15 years in jail. You commit a crime with a gun, life. You kill somebody, electric chair. It's over. That's it. You went and held up a store and you took $150, you're going to jail. You're going to jail for life. It's over. Oh, you get caught with a gun that's not yours, 15 years. Pretty simple. 3 things. You commit murder, you die. You commit a crime with a gun, life in jail. You get caught with a gun that isn't yours, you don't have a license for it, it's stolen, 15 years. Make it hot potato, baby. Make it hot potato. Make them fear holding that weapon. Make them fear just being caught with the weapon. And that way they know that the second they commit a crime, they're not getting off. They're not walking out 6 months later on probation for 5 years. They're not doing anything like that. It's do not pass go, and you're going right to jail. I'm 56. I haven't committed a crime with a gun. It's pretty simple. I don't need to go rob anybody. Pretty simple. I don't need to assault anybody. Pretty simple. I don't think that's very hard. But if you want to keep having weak gun laws, then this is what continues to happen. Okay? That's all. Once they know the consequences are dire and there is no way out of them, criminals think differently. But as you allow them to continue to get away with stuff, then they know they can get away with it. And that's it. So you jail them and free them, and jail them and free them, and jail them and free them, and then they end up assaulting and killing people. That's all. It's pretty simple, man. It's not really that difficult if you want to scare the shit out of people with guns. But we refuse to do that. And that's why we continue to have crimes. But when people start going away for a long time with gun crimes, boy, trust me, gun violence will completely die out. Sorry to get political on that one, but, it is what it is. According to the conference, the kid was already reported to UVA police for having a gun earlier this fall. There you go. There you go. And nobody would have ever died. So they would have caught you with a gun. Boom. You're in jail already. Everybody's saved. I'm telling you, you'd scare the crap out of people. It's like I've said many times. When I was a child, my dad had guns all over the house. But I grew up in a different world. I knew I could not touch those guns. You can't do that today. Mines are all locked up now. They all have locks in them. They're in safes. So it's like you got to get to the safe and then you got to unlock the gun. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard to really, get to the weapon period and use it because you've got to go through two things in order to use my guns. You know what I'm saying? But that's the world we live in now. Back when I was a child, there were no safes. There were no gun locks, none of that shit. I could see my dad's shotgun. I could see my dad's 9mm. I could see his 357. And he had a German Luger, actually. And so never, when he was cleaning them or something, he'd show me how he would clean them and all that kind of stuff, but never, I knew I couldn't touch it. Brother, the ass kicking that I'm going to get, it ain't worth touching that gun. No. It's all right. I don't need to show up in school with a boot in my ass. And it's like, yo, why are you walking so weird? Well, I got my dad's foot in my ass right now. He planted his foot in there and then his shoe in there and then took his foot out. And I can't take it out right now. So that's probably what would have happened. Big O, please tell me what gun law would have prevented this from happening. As far as anyone knows, so far the gun was legally purchased. He had no criminal record. Well, didn't they just say that he was just caught with a gun earlier in the year? That's where, what are you doing with a gun on campus if that's true? I don't know if that's true or not. But, you got to do something, man. You got to, and by the way, I didn't say it would prevent, did you listen to me, by the way? Did you listen to the host before you sent the question? What were the three things I just said, sir? What did I say? I said, if you get caught with a gun, right, that's illegal, not yours, 15 years. Done. No questions asked. Okay? If you commit a crime with a gun, life. If you kill somebody with a gun, you get the chair, injection, gas chamber, rock them to death. I don't care what the hell you do to the guy or woman. I don't. You got to listen to what the host is saying. I didn't say that it would prevent. I say you do the 3 layers. Some are preventive and some are after the fact. But the after the fact is very important, my man. You need to fry his ass after he kills somebody. Okay? They can't sit there and get away with it. They can't sit there and go to jail and take our tax money for the next 30, 40, 50 years because we got to pay for his sorry ass to be there. No, his ass needs to fry right on the spot. Okay? Once the court's done that he did it, he committed the crime, you take his ass right to the gas chamber and you put him away. So listen to the host before you actually ask the question. At no point did I say that all of these things will prevent it, but what it will do, it will eliminate gun violence. I guarantee you it won't bring it down slightly. It will bring it down completely. It'll be so rare that people will not even want to get close to a gun. Why? Because you're no longer giving them any breaks. Criminals, put it this way. I hate to say it like this, but I got to say it like this. Criminals have way too many rights in this country. Okay? Way too many rights. We give people way too many breaks, and they don't deserve them. And that's why crimes are constantly committed. Because if you keep letting your child get away with little things, what do? They keep doing it. But until you actually discipline your child and you take away their computer or their phone or whatever, and you do it for a certain amount of time, that's the only way they're going to learn, right? In my day was you got your ass beat, but in today it's a different way. But you've got to discipline your child in a way so they can learn. We do not discipline, criminals. In Washington, we allowed them to just come up with an autonomous zone. They took over an entire neighborhood and a police station. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We allowed that shit to happen? Brother, I would have sent in 4,000 cops and I would have beat the shit out of every one of those idiots in the autonomous zone. Drag all of their asses out into jail and stuff their asses in jail for the next year or two. And we'll see if they ever think about another damn autonomous zone ever again. That's the problem in our world, dude. We have no respect for people because we don't discipline them. And we allow them to get away with the same shit over and over again. And so what do criminals do? They just get away with a bigger and a bigger crime and a bigger crime. And we don't do anything. Cap for Life says, bro, I got a couple of screws loose, but I'm not that guy with a concealed permit fishing my Glock around in my waistband while pulled over by a cop. There's a timing and a place. Of course. The rest of us are like that. Christopher Henry, too many violent criminals let back on the street. Exactly. And they go and commit more and more crimes. It's disgusting. All right. Anyway. What else do we have here? What other sports thing that I want to get into here? By the way, Philly favored by 11 over Washington tonight. Over and under is 43. Suns and Heat. Heat favored by 1.5. Over and under is 216. Chris Paul is questionable. He's probably not going to play, what it sounds like from what Ira was talking about this morning. Great job by UM. Congratulations to the boys. We talked about it on Saturday in our post-game show. Really like what I saw from Ja'Carri Brown, and I thought they did a really nice job the way he managed the game, running and passing. Oh, one more thing. Did you see what happened in Germany? Tampa defeating the Seahawks 21-16. And so it's not so much about the game, but the atmosphere at Alliance Arena. It was 60, like almost 70,000 people were there, and they were crazy, and they were chanting and all that. Folks, the European division is coming. I guarantee you that that's coming. It's going to happen. We're going to go from a 17 to an 18 game schedule. We're going to add a second bye week. We're going to go to 20 weeks. But you saw what happened in Germany this weekend. You see what happens in London every year. They love our game. And the NFL owners love money. They love a whole lot of money. And the only way to make this thing work is by adding 4 teams and a European division like I've talked about in the last couple of years. London, Barcelona, Munich, and Paris. Something like that. With one international workout facility in Europe that has multiple fields. So that way the visiting teams can stay there for a couple of weeks. You have a hotel and a whole training facility and all that for the players. That way a couple teams can visit, and then they can play the teams in those divisions, and they can stay there a couple of weeks where they'll play Munich one week, and then they'll play Paris the next, and then they'll play London, and then they'll fly back, and then they'll have a bye week. That kind of stuff. Your bye week will be for your Thursday game, and your bye week will be for your European trip. If it's your turn to play that division, remember, because you don't play all divisions every year. So this is coming. They have no choice. They've got the streaming stuff now to generate more revenue. They've got gambling that is generating more revenue, obviously. And they've broken up the way they're doing things, from one night to another night to the weekends and all that kind of stuff. So they've got it all mapped out, and they're making a lot of money. But eventually they will then top that out and say, what's next? That's what's next. Those people were chanting an hour after the game. And they love American football. To me, it's the inevitable that you have to go to Europe when it's all said and done and put a European division there. And all of a sudden now, football will be a worldwide game, which will be pretty freaking cool. And that will make the sport, it's already the most powerful league in the world. But once they really expand into Europe, then they become the ultimate dominant force in all of pro sports. Because there's no league that produces more money than they do, man. No soccer league produces more money than they do. Not Serie A, not the Premiership, not the Bundesliga, not NBA, not Major League Baseball. There's no league. And if the NFL goes to Europe, oh my God, that would be a coup. And I would be happy for the people in Europe. Man, I go back and forth with people in Europe all the damn time, dude. They love American football. I know that in our country, there's only, I think it's the same as Europe probably. There's a certain group of us that love international soccer. Like myself, I'm an Arsenal fan and a Barcelona fan, so I watch those teams. But in Europe, it's the same way. Sure, they love their soccer, number one. Football is number one in the world. But there's a lot of people in Europe, like we have in Central and South America, that are big NFL fans. And watching that event in Germany yesterday, it was like, this is the inevitable. It's coming. It may not be this year, probably 5 years from now, but it's coming. It's going to happen because the Gordon Geckos of the world run this league. Greed is good. And that's what they're all about. So Germany, France, London, or England, that is, Spain, you guys are going to get a team, I would imagine. It's going to happen. It's the inevitable, and it's the smart thing to do, money-wise and putting an entire division. I don't think you expand with one or two teams. I think you do two, and then you add two more, like another year or two later or something like that. It's probably what you'll do. You probably won't add all four at the same time because of the expansion drafts and all that. It would be way too much. So I would imagine they'll add two 1 year, and then they'll add two more either the following year or the year after that. So there'll be a little bit of an adjustment, but eventually it's got to happen. It's the best way. Big O, we're going to go against 4 pocket QBs and 3 running QBs for the rest of our regular season. Do you like that? I just like the Dolphins, my friend. I like the Dolphins, and I think they have a chance at beating anybody in the NFL. That's the beauty of this team. That's what I love about this Dolphins team. They're legit. How would you have a supplemental draft like the NFL did with the Jags? Yeah, exactly. You got to have that. You got to have an expansion draft with those two teams, with all 4, but you'll break it up in over a couple of years. So that way the teams don't get, completely trashed in one go around. You know what I'm saying? We can't do that. Let's see. Not sure I can handle talking football with the French. Well, remember, they all learn English pretty much because that's the international language. So you're really not going to be talking French. They'll be talking English because they're the ones that seem to adjust to us. We're the people that think we're above everybody else, and we don't have to adjust to them. Panthers, by the way, they're off tonight. Tuesday, they will take on the Capitals. They lost to the Oilers on Saturday, 4-2. What else do we have? Oh, that's it. That's it pretty much. It is time to wrap it up here on the show. We thank Sean Stanley, as always, the man that masters this entire platform, Ira Winderman, Alan Pupart, and Andy Behrens. We thank all of you out there. Those of you that tuned in, please hit the like button. It is very important to get the algorithms going and hitting that like button. I see we got to 478. 478, man. Come on. Get us to 500 at least. Come on, folks. Get us to 500 there. We're at 478. All right? Appreciate you all out there. If you sent in a donation through Cash App or Venmo, or you sent in like Ernesto, who sent in Bitcoin. Wow, he sent in more Bitcoin. Well, thank you, Ernesto. I just saw it right now. Thank you, sir. Very nice. Sending Bitcoin for a second time. And he said, sweaty palm tip, a little antiperspirant on it. How about that? That's interesting. Very cool. Thank you, Ernesto. There you go. Remember, you can always put a question and I'll answer them and all that on Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. So thank you all out there. Visit our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is